Thank you, Councillor Collins, for this opportunity, and thanks for this august house for accepting me here. My name is Pastor Peter Agley from the Lost Pentecostal Church. We're based in Hertsmere. We've got branches in Tottenham, Westbury, and Andover. Shall we pray? Almighty and gracious Father, we have come to you this evening, to this opening session of this meeting in Hertsmere, mindful of the responsibilities entrusted to those who serve the community. We give you thanks for the opportunity to work for the good of others and for the rich diversity, history, and spirit of this borough. We acknowledge the dedication of our councillors, officers, and leaders gathered here this evening. Grant them wisdom and discernment in all their deliberations. May their decisions be guided by integrity, fairness, and a sincere desire to promote the well-being of all residents. Where there are differences of opinion, bring mutual respect. Where there are challenges, grant clarity and courage. And where there is a need to inspire compassion and practical action, we pray that you will help them. Help our councillors to work together in the spirit of cooperation and unity. We remember all those who live and work in this borough, the families, the elders, the young, the vulnerable, and those facing hardship. May this council's work bring support where it's needed, opportunity where there is limitation, and hope where there is uncertainty. Bless this meeting. We pray that it may be conducted with respect, order, and purpose. May all that is said and done here contribute to the stronger and fairer and more compassionate community in Hertsmere Council. We ask this in your holy name. Amen.
Amen. Please be seated.
Sure, thank you.
Good evening, everyone. Can I welcome everyone to this meeting of Hertsmere Borough Council, including those in the public gallery and those who are watching online. My name is Councillor Alpha Bird Collins. I'm the worshipful mayor of Hertsmere, and I will be chairing this meeting. Before we continue, please can I ask everyone to make sure that your mobile phone is turned off or switched to silent. Thank you. We have some housekeeping to be done. In the rear, we have 2 exits in case of fire. The fire alarm, if it goes on hearing the fire alarm, please leave the building immediately using the nearest exit available. There are 2 exits behind you in the rear there and also on the side doors, and you are not allowed to come back except when told to do so. Do not, under any circumstances, use the lift. The assembly point is the civics office car park in the area next to the roundabout. You should not re-enter the building until it is known to be safe to do so. We'll proceed with items on the agenda. Do we have any apologies? Yes. Yeah, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. We have apologies tonight from Councillor Lambert, Councillor Paul Hodgson-Jones, and Councillor Sachdev. Thank you.
Okay, please have that noted. Yeah, Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Chair. I have apologies from Councillor Newmark for non-attendance this evening.
Are there? Oh, Councillor Shenton, yeah, please.
Mr. Mayor, we have apologies from Councillor Handley.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor, we have apologies from Councillor Alexander.
Caroline would just be late.
Please have those noted. Yeah. Democracy. Pardon. Yeah. Do you wish to say something? What was the cause of the interruption? The respectful conduct in the chamber is of key importance to the good reputation of our council. I will be keen to ensure that debate is civil and timely throughout the evening, and will ask your support in this respect. There are 2 points in our procedures, rules to avoid any misunderstandings by members. The first one is, if you rise on a point of order to speak, I will immediately ask you to identify which procedural rule or law has been broken in your opinion. If you cannot answer this question to my satisfaction, I will ask you to sit down, as it is not a point of order. The second one is this: if you wish to make a point of personal explanation, this only applies if you have already spoken in the current debate and feel that a member has misunderstood something that you said in that debate. If you rise on this point, you must have spoken in the debate. I will ask you to state specifically which part of your speech has been misunderstood. And if you cannot answer this, I will tell you to sit down. As before, we'll be using the electronic voting system. Councillors, can you also please remember to switch off your microphone when you have finished speaking? This allows the webcast camera to automatically move onto the next speaker. We look over at agenda item number 2. That is declaration of interest. Do any other members have any interest to declare? Okay, there's none. We'll move over to agenda item number 3 with regards to the minutes. Minutes of the meeting, of the council meeting held on 25th of February 2026. These have been circulated. There can be no debate on the minutes. Only accuracy may be questioned. May I sign them as an accurate record? Okay, I'll do that after the meeting. Thank you. I will sign the minutes later on after the meeting. We'll move over to agenda item number 4. That is announcement by the mayor, and that's me. I would like to start the meeting by paying our respect to former Mayor Mike Johnson, who served as mayor of Hertsmere in the 1989 to 1990 mayoral year. We offer our condolences to Mr. Johnson's family and friends. This past month, I have been pleased Please, I do not need any interruption. Yeah, the thing is on and thing. I have no control over it. It may be, okay, excuse me.
I was going to try and switch it up a little bit, Mr.
Yeah, okay. If next time you want to say something, just raise your hand. I'll recognize you rather than mumbling, you know? Okay. Okay, I'll carry on. This past month, I have been pleased to attend Hertsmere International Women's Day event. The mayor of Hertsford, Chillit, Khalid Lee, and I helped to judge a poetry competition at Yathnet Primary School. I have also attended the mayor of Broxbourne's civic service and the installation of Reverend Stephen Young at All Saints Church in Borehamwood. I would like to give thanks to Councillor Minal Sajdev for her service to Hertsmere. Councillor Sajdev has resigned as a councillor so that they can take up the role of High Sheriff for Hertfordshire. I offer my congratulations and best wishes for the future to Councillor Sajdev. Finally, can I remind members of the civic dinner? It is our opportunity to congratulate our civic award winners and celebrate their contributions to our community. Please use the booking link on your invite to confirm your attendance. We move over to agenda item number 5, which is questions from members of the public. So far, no questions have been received from members of the public. Then we'll move over, we're moving fast. We'll move over to agenda item number 6. There's questions from members of the council. We had a total of 9 questions received in advance. As there are questions from across the council, they have been ordered as set out by the Constitution. As usual, the responses to your questions have been published with the agenda. As such, we will move straight to the supplementary questions in each case, should there be any. Can I remind people that it does have to be a question on the topic and response, and not a statement. If your supplementary question is on an entirely different matter, I will rule it out of order. 30 minutes are allowed for councillors' questions, and any not reached within that time will fall. As Councillor Newmark is not present, any questions for him shall be passed to Councillor Shenton to respond, if appropriate. The first question is from Councillor Sullivan about protecting and enhancing green spaces. Do you have a supplementary question, Councillor Sullivan, on the same topic?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yes, I do. Once green belts and green spaces are lost, they're lost forever. And it is our duty to protect them, not manage their decline. With the government now reclassifying parts of the green belt as grey belts and reimposing top-down housing targets, can you be clear what proactive steps this administration are taking to actually defend Hertsmere's green spaces, rather than simply reacting to speculative applications? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Councillor Sullivan. Here. Okay. The next. Councillor Oakley, can you please respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Sullivan, thank you for your question. You don't make it clear in using the term green spaces whether you mean green belt, grey belt, or whether you mean spaces within speculative developments, because I think the answer is probably going to be quite different. So if you would like to submit that question in writing and clarify it for me, I will happily give you a written answer. I mean, I will obviously say that as far as any planning applications are concerned, planning policy insists that there be green space there and it be adequate for that particular development.
Okay, we have another question is from Councillor Clarkson about support for students. Do you have a supplementary question on the same topic?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Generation Hertsmere is mentioned in the answer, but isn't the great work of Generation Hertsmere, Deputy Leader, stymied by the actions of the national government? Growth down, unemployment up, youth unemployment up, and graduate recruitment at the lowest level ever. So I ask the Deputy Leader, in the Leader's absence, surely the best way to support students It's to back businesses to create jobs, not tax them out of existence to fund benefits and subsidies. And does he agree, therefore, that the Conservatives' deal for young people, cutting the bad value degrees, capping interest rates on the student loans, funding apprenticeships and helping youngsters with the £5,000 job bonus is the best way forward? Because Generation Hertsmere are trying to get by, Mr Mayor, but Labour are raising their taxes and cutting the opportunities from under them.
I'll call upon Councillor Shenton to
Two
respond.
questions there.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. And welcome back, Councillor Clarkson.
Thank you.
I recall when I was a young person coming out of university, one of the deepest recessions that we've ever had in this country, orchestrated by Margaret Thatcher's government in the late 70s and early 80s. This council works very, very hard, our Economic Development Unit, to make meaningful and practical differences to opportunities for young people in this borough. The Generation Hertsmere is a fantastic event which I've attended each year, I think, since I've been a councillor, and that's a practical move that actually generates opportunities, allows young people to find out what they might be interested in. We're not into sloganising, we're into practical benefits to our residents, and this is one of them. Thank you.
Okay, we have a further question from Councillor Cohen.
Thank you, Councillor Shenton, for your generic reply. So my supplementary is, why was the Council at its last full Council meeting in Part 2 asked to approve a major financial commitment with no papers, no figures, and only a 60 seconds verbal introduction from yourself as Cabinet's Member for Finance? Is this the way you feel councillors should be making major financial commitments of our residents' money? And would you do this differently if this occurred again?
I'll call upon Councillor Shenton to respond, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Cohen. This was, as you say, in Part 2. It was a confidential report that was the result of the negotiation between the council and council officers and the officers of Elstree Film Studios. The precise amount was, I think, secondary to the fact that a negotiation had gone on and an amicable agreement had been reached. The papers were not comprehensive because that is really the extent of the story. There has been a discussion between officers. I had been aware of the progress as it was going through. I was satisfied that they had reached the best solution for the council, and I was content that Elstree Film Studios had reached a good solution. I don't think there was anything more to say on the matter. Thank you.
Yeah. We have a following question by Councillor Clapper in the role of the Constitution and Member Development Panel. Do you have a supplementary question on the same topic, Councillor Clapper?
Yes, I do. Thank you, Mr Mayor. And firstly, apologies, I was a couple of minutes late to the meeting this evening. Councillor Shenton, or Councillor Newmark, who provided the response, thank you, but I would like to press further. Given that panels like CMDP help shape governance and constitutional changes, could you please explain how this process could be considered representative when neither the Reform UK Group nor Hertsmere First have any seats on the CMDP, despite decisions coming forward that directly affect all members and residents? And further, what formal safeguards exist to ensure that councillors outside of that panel and the residents that they represent have a meaningful opportunity to influence proposals before they reach Cabinet or Council, rather than simply being able to respond after the fact? Will you commit to publishing clearer forward plans, consultation triggers and decision pathways so that engagement is genuine and early, not retrospective? Because without that, this risks being a process that is not just unbalanced, but is closed. Thank you.
I'll call upon Councillor Shenton to respond, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor. This is, let's be honest, a fairly complicated situation in that we started with three parties were elected in 2023, and that is now extended to 5. And CMDP is a panel, it's not it's not a subcommittee, it's not representative of the council, but I think that there are issues that arose out of no members of Reform or Hertsmere First being involved in that, and I see a motion put to this council meeting which effectively reflects that. I've discussed with officers, and on his return I will discuss with the leader. My recommendation would be that when particular things that are put forward by the minor parties, they're invited to attend, if they so wish, and to present their case. It's the situation that we have today where, because CMDP covered an issue and nobody from Hertsmere First was present, they then put a motion to Cabinet. I don't think that's to Council, sorry. I don't think that's ideal. So, yes, I will be recommending that we improve the process. Thank you.
Okay, we have the next question is from Councillor Brisky, relating to works at Aberford Park. Do you have a supplementary question to the same topic, Councillor Brisky?
I do, Mr. Mayor. However, I'm not convinced that the Deputy Leader will be able to answer my supplementary question because it's not his portfolio, and therefore I'm disappointed that the Leader of this Council has decided to book a holiday on the week of a full council meeting instead of come to this chamber and answer questions from members of this council as he's paid to do. But I will try anyway, Mr. Mayor, and I'll ask my question to the Deputy Leader. So, Mr. Mayor, in his response, the leader of this council, the absent leader of this council, said that I was informed of construction works taking place in Aberford Park. Sorry, I was informed of construction works, but my question was specifically about the works taking place in Aberford Park, which are due to last around a year. So I'll ask the same question to the Deputy Leader. Does he think it would have been the courteous thing to do to have notified the ward councillors in advance of construction works taking place in Aberford Park?
Councillor Shenton, can you please respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I think we can see from the response from Councillor Newmark that this isn't a disagreement over protocol, it's a disagreement over what happened. Councillor Newmark clearly says that he does think that a courtesy notification was given, and by implication should be given. So I think if you believe that there wasn't, you need to take that up with Councillor Newmark and the relevant officers, because the principle, which is what I am arguing, I'm discussing here, is that yes, councillors should be informed of actions that are going on in their ward. Thank you.
The next question is also from Councillor Brisky on retailers on Shenley Road. Do you have a supplementary question to the same topic?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I thank the portfolio holder for his response. Mr. Mayor, in October 2025, the portfolio holder put out a press release, lots of images of him having shut down a shop on Shenley Road, and now we are in a position where that shop has reopened and is trading as normal again. So my question is, what was actually achieved by closing down that shop? And also, what are we doing about the other retailers on Shenley Road that reportedly have illegal activity taking place in them? And how are we monitoring M1 Minimart that was closed?
I shall call upon Councillor Gray to respond.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm certainly not taking any lectures from you, Councillor Brisky, on Councillor Newmark's absence, given that you missed a very important planning technical meeting to attend your Works Drinks event. In terms of what is happening, if you'd actually read the information that was put out, it was a temporary closure notice. The clue is in the title. It closed temporarily. Obviously, trading standards, the police, ourselves work very closely together to identify issues and spot illegal activity in our shops. We rely on members of the public reporting in their concerns and their worries, and we take a holistic view on how we approach it. I'm certainly not going to discuss individual cases with you because I don't want to tell them what we're doing, because they will then avoid actually any prosecutions by that way forward. But you can be trusted that work is in hand with trading standards, with the police, with our various third-party organisations to stamp out illegal activity wherever we see it. Thank you.
We have a question from Councillor Selby about green bin subscriptions. Do you have a supplementary question to this topic?
I do. Thank you, Councillor Richards, for your answer. Looking at the recycling figures for Hertsmere, it's disappointing that 3 years on, it remains the same at around 43.5%, despite significant changes introduced by the current Liberal-Labour Coalition Council. Residents were promised improvements, yet after an overhaul of refuse collection services and the introduction of new charges for the first time in the borough's 52-year history, there's been no measurable progress in recycling performance. And now we have the £50 green bin charge gone up 10%. Do you agree that for a policy area that relies on public participation, maintaining trust is essential, and our residents should expect to see measurable progress in the amount of recycling? Thank you.
Okay, I'll invite Councillor Richards to respond, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Selby, for your original and supplementary question. Recycling rates across the country in England are stubbornly, from a household waste perspective, stubbornly staying high. But there is a bigger picture here. There's the extended producer responsibility. So our simpler recycling work is ongoing. We are driving towards the change in recycling rates. It's not an overnight thing. Across the country, there are fewer things being thrown away. And in Hertsmere as well, our tonnage of residual waste is coming down, and that is the main thing. The aim here is not to throw more stuff away, whether that's in a green bin, brown bin, or a black bin. Ultimately, we want to reduce the amount of waste overall, and do more useful things with the recycling, which through the food waste, weekly food waste, which was introduced last year, and we have continued to roll that out through to flats this year, and getting to those addresses that had narrow access routes, etc. We're on track for to fully roll out the food waste subscription. So I think we're moving in the right direction, and I have every confidence in the team, the waste crews and the officers. We are absolutely holding our own in terms of other local authorities in England. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question from Councillor Rosehill relating to site allocations. Do you have any supplementary questions to this effect?
I do. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. So I'm thinking about the legacy and the reputation of this place right now. So you say, Councillor Oakley, that decisions are based on spatial strategy. But with no transparent criteria that's available, no adopted local plan, a surge of speculative applications, and even what happened at the committee last week, how can residents have confidence that decisions are not being made arbitrarily?
Councillor Oakley, will you please respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Councillor Rosehill, for your question. Everyone will have the opportunity to see exactly how the spatial strategy is panning out from the 7th of April, when the papers will be published, which actually show what the candidate sites are for the emerging local plan. And we'll also be able to see the Greenbelt review as well. So all will be revealed then. But as I have said in my initial answer, I do not allocate sites according to voting patterns, never have done, never will. So I hope residents will be reassured on that point. And they will see that from the candidate sites list.
Okay. I'll come over to Councillor Rosehill again with regards to respectful communications. Do you have a supplementary question relating to this particular topic?
No, thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. Thanks. Okay, thank you, members. We're going to move over to agenda item number 7, which is the decision report of Hertsmere Safeguarding Children and Adults at Risk policy. I'll call on Councillor Giorgio to move the recommendations as set out in the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Fellow councillors and members of the public, I rise today to propose the adoption of the Safeguarding Children and Adults at Risk Policy 2026. I think this is a policy that everyone here can get behind. Safeguarding is not merely a statutory tick box exercise. It is the fundamental promise that we make to the most vulnerable residents of Hertsmere. Whether it's a child in Borehamwood, an elderly resident in Potters Bar, a disabled resident in Bushy, or any of our surrounding villages, they deserve a council that is proactive, vigilant and equipped to protect them. While our existing framework has served this council well, the landscape of risk has shifted. This 2026 update is essential for the following key reasons. Since our last review, national guidance and local arrangements from the Hertfordshire Safeguarding Children Partnership and Adults Board has been updated. This policy aligns us with the latest requirements of the Care Act and the Children's Act, ensuring that we meet our legal duties in full. This isn't just a change of words on a page. This policy introduces improved management oversight and new training for councillors and staff. It ensures that every officer, from those in housing to those in leisure, know exactly how to spot the signs of abuse, neglect or radicalisation, and more importantly, exactly how to report it through our new simple online alert system. Councils may also uncover complex cases involving various issues such as domestic abuse and modern slavery. This policy provides the robust governance needed to manage these sensitive issues with the seriousness they require. To do nothing or to delay would be to turn a blind eye to those most in need of our protection. We cannot afford to operate on outdated procedures when the safety of a human being is at stake. I urge you all to support this motion and ensure Hertsmere remains a gold standard for community safety. I therefore move this report. Thank you.
Councillor Amaron, will you second this?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, I'm very happy to second this motion. I reserve my right to speak, please. Thanks.
This matter is now open for a debate. I shall first call on Councillor Selby, please.
I want to begin by saying we are very happy to support this report. Safeguarding is one of those areas where politics should rightly take a back seat. Whatever our differences on other issues, everyone in this chamber would agree that protecting vulnerable children and adults is one of the most important responsibilities any public body has. Safeguarding is at the heart of everything we do. It sets out how we protect the well-being, safety and rights of everyone in our organisation and every member staff as well as residents we come into contact with every single day through the services we offer such as housing, environmental health and community services. Because of that, officers are often the first people to notice when something is not right. Having a clear, up-to-date safeguarding policy is therefore absolutely essential. Safeguarding isn't just a policy on paper, it's a shared commitment. It ensures that our environment remains safe, respectful and supportive for all. The policy gives us the framework to act quickly, concerns are identified early and passed on to the agencies best placed to act. I also want to recognise the hard work of our officers who have developed and refined this policy, particularly the Corporate Safeguarding Officer and everyone across Hertsmere who contributes to safeguarding work. This safeguarding policy is not a static document, it's a living, evolving framework that grows with us. As new challenges emerge and best practice develops, we will continue to review, learn and adapt it to ensure it remains robust and relevant. Together, by following this policy, we reaffirm our commitment to a culture where everyone feels safe, valued and heard. Safeguarding is everyone's responsibility and it remains one of the most important ways to protect our community. I therefore will be supporting this recommendation. Thank you.
Councillor Matthew, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to welcome this thorough review of safeguarding policy. The policy has been substantially reviewed to meet the new statutory requirements and ensure effective joint working with Hertfordshire Safeguarding Children's Partnership and Safeguarding Adults Board. Children, young people and vulnerable adults can all be subject to the damaging effects of actual and threatened violence, abuse, neglect, exploitation, radicalisation and modern slavery. We need a comprehensive policy to help identify those at risk and promote their safety by preventing abuse occurring and ensuring that adults and children are protected from further harm. All safeguarding concerns and alerts are to be reported to the designated safeguarding lead so they can be cross-referenced through a central database with a record of all referrals and responses. The policy aims to increase understanding and awareness and ensure effective action. All staff and members will receive safeguarding training appropriate to their role and level of need as part of the policy rollout and repeated at regular intervals. I'd also like to particularly thank Councillor Giorgio and Valerie Noon for their considerable efforts in producing this clear guide. We're very happy to support the recommendation. Thank you.
Yeah, I shall call on Councillor Chalice, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm very happy to support this policy. What it does well is set out something very clear. Safeguarding is everyone's responsibility. It doesn't sit with one team or one group. It runs through everything the council does, and this policy reflects that clearly. There is a strong emphasis on staff and members knowing what to do and feeling confident to act. The message that concerns should be raised early is particularly important because in practice, safeguarding often starts with something that just doesn't feel right. I also welcome the focus on training and support. Safeguarding situations can be complex and at times difficult for officers and members, so having a structured approach to training alongside a proper supervision and wellbeing support is essential. The policy also reflects the reality that safeguarding is rarely exists in isolation. This emphasis on partnership working and multi-agency approaches to it is a real strength and aligns with how these situations actually present. Overall, I thank all the officers and members' time for this, and I thank them for the clear strength and clarity it provides us. Thank you.
There's a provision for a conservative. If there isn't, then I can. Anybody wants to say something? Okay. Okay. What I'm going to go over to Councillor Ambrose because you reserve your right to speak. Thanks.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, Councillor Giorgio. Colleagues, I'm really pleased to second this recommendation to adopt the updated Safeguarding Children and Adult at Risk policy. With my background in health and social care and actually a recent double registration for both adults and children, I know how critical it is that safeguarding is not treated as a paper exercise, but as a living embedded responsibility across everything we do, and this policy clearly reflects that principle. It brings together our statutory duties under key legislation, but more importantly, it translates those duties into a practical and robust framework for Hertsmere. As a council, we deliver a wide range of services, and we are often the eyes and ears in our communities, and that makes it essential that our staff, our members, our partners are equipped to recognise concerns, respond appropriately and act with confidence. I particularly welcome the strengthened governance arrangements, the clearer lines of accountability and the introduction of improved training pathways and case management processes. These aren't just procedural updates, they're vital safeguards that will help ensure no concern is overlooked. It's also important to recognise that choosing not to update this policy would leave us exposed to emerging risks and very out of step with current guidance and learning. That is not a position we should ever accept when it comes to protecting our vulnerable residents. I would also, like others here this evening, like to place on record my thanks to Valerie Noon, our Corporate Safeguarding Officer, for producing a really well thought out and comprehensive policy. It's clear to me that a great deal of work has gone into this, as I know that I often have to write these things myself. This policy strengthens our governance, reinforces our accountability, and most importantly, enhances our ability to protect children, young people and adults at risk across the whole of Hertsmere. And for these reasons, I'm extremely happy to second. Thank you.
I'll call upon Councillor Giorgio to sum up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'd like to thank members for their insightful contributions to this debate and also thank Valerie for the great work that her and the staff here have done in putting this policy together. I appreciate that this policy demands a commitment of time and effort from our staff and from us as councillors. To any councillors or staff who might delay in carrying out this training, I ask you, what risk is there from failure? The cost of a robust training pathway is incomparable to the human cost of a missed safeguarding intervention. So I urge all staff and us to make sure that we carry out this training as soon as possible. This policy is designed to improve the culture of care and vigilance at this council, and it moves us away from a reactive crisis model and towards a proactive prevention model. By approving this today, we are giving our frontline staff the confidence to act. We're telling them that when they raise a concern, they have a clear and complex case framework behind them that will take that concern to the finish line. The 2026 policy is comprehensive, it's legally sound, and it is morally necessary. It reflects our vision of a borough where everyone, regardless of their age or circumstances, can live free from fear or harm. Let us send a clear message to our partners and our residents in Hertsmere. Safeguarding is everyone's business and it's our highest priority. I therefore commend this policy to the Council. Thank you.
Okay, I'll pop the question. Members, are we ready to vote? Okay. We're going to move over to agenda item number 8. That's the decision report relating to a community governance review from Potter's Bar. I call on Councillor Gray to move the recommendations as set out in the report.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm pleased to formally propose that this council begins its community governance review for Potter's Bar. The report before us tonight is for a very clear reason. Earlier this year, the council received a valid petition from residents of Potter's Bar calling for the review into whether the town council should be created. That petition met the legal threshold and was formally verified by our election services team. And it's worth pausing at that point. This wasn't an online petition. Every signature was gathered in person, on doorsteps, in our town centres, through real conversations with residents. To reach over 7.5% of the population of Potter's Bar is no small achievement. And it tells us something important, that there's a genuine grassroots appetite in Potter's Bar to look again at how the town is governed. Because of that petition, we're not only choosing to do this review, we're required to do it. Under the Local Government and Public Involvement in Health Act 2007, once a valid petition is received, the council must undertake a community governance review. So what does this actually mean in practice? A community governance review is a formal process that allows us to look at local governance arrangements and ask whether they're right for the community today. It gives residents a chance to shape how they're represented at a most local level. In this case, it will consider whether Potter's Bar should have its own town council and what that could look like, how that may operate, and whether it would reflect the identity and needs of the town. Critically, this is not just a decision being made tonight about creating a town council. What we're doing tonight is starting a process of consultation, engagement, and listening. The law is very clear that we must consult widely with residents, stakeholders, and anyone with an interest in the area, and that's exactly what we will do. There will be opportunities for people to have their say, to support, to challenge, to ask questions, and to help shape the future proposals. This is about putting the decisions in the hands of people of Potter's Bar to shape their future. And the timing of this could not be more important. With local government reorganisation on the horizon, we all know that decision-making is likely to move further away from our communities. In that context, it's entirely understandable that residents are asking how they can retain a stronger local voice that is rooted in their town. The Town Council is one way of doing this, not the only way, and not a foregone conclusion, but a serious option that deserves proper consideration. So tonight is about reorganising the community, recognising the community demand, respecting the strength of that petition, and opening the doors to a full and fair conversation about the future of local government in Potter's Bar. I want to thank everyone who signed the petition and everyone who helped organise it. You have brought this issue forward in the right way, and now it's our job to take this through the proper democratic processes. I would encourage all residents to engage with the review as it progresses. This is your opportunity to shape the future of the town. I'm proud to propose the Council's commencement of a community governance review for Potter's Bar and committed to commit this report to the Chamber. Thank you.
I shall call upon Councillor Sullivan to second it.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'm pleased to second this report tonight. This report asks us to begin a community governance review for Potter's Bar, following a valid petition from residents. And let's be absolutely clear, this is not a decision to create a parish council, it's a decision to begin a process of consultation. This process has been triggered by local people, and now thousands of households will have the opportunity to have their say, and that's something that we welcome. But with that opportunity comes responsibility. We must ensure this consultation is clear, balanced and honest. Residents need to understand that a parish council does not replace Hertsmere Borough Council. It doesn't take on major responsibilities like planning, housing or waste collection, and it's not without cost. It comes with an additional precept on council tax. And that's why the information going out to households must be thorough and transparent. It should include clear examples of how much this could cost residents and set out in simple terms the roles, responsibilities and remits of a parish council. At the same time, we must ensure it's written in plain English, clearly accessible and easy to understand. This must be about informing residents, not influencing them. And I also welcome the Potters Bar Councillors Working Group as in part of the recommendation. And I want to be clear, my Potters Bar team will work hard to ensure that everything put before residents is right, accurate and factual so people can make a properly informed decision. This process may also become a blueprint for areas like Bushy in the future, which makes it even more important that we get this right now. Because if we do, we set a standard for how we empower communities across our borough. So we will support this review today, and we urge you all across the chamber to do the same. Thank you.
This matter is now open for debate. I shall call upon Councillor Shah. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. A lot of what I'm going to say might be repeating what my colleagues have said here, but I'll say it anyway. Thank you very much for this comprehensive document. I'm impressed with the timelines that have been set for the governance review with a view to consulting on setting up a parish council, and will vote in favour of this paper. The budget of 60,000 at first seemed a little expensive, but with so many mailings over so many stages, it's not unrealistic. Bushy, as you've already mentioned, is currently considering setting up a parish council, as up to now we've historically been comfortable with the current district council arrangements. This, of course, now all changes with the forthcoming unitary authority and the inevitable increase in the remoteness of that authority from local communities. Councillors in Bushy are supporting the Bushy Forum, which is actively involved in obtaining the required signatures to present our petition. We hope that the governance review template can then be replicated for Bushy. So congratulations to Potters Bar for taking the initiative, and good luck. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Hostin-Jones, please.
Thank you. Tonight we have been asked to approve the terms of reference to enable a community government review for Potters Bar. This is in response to a petition received by Hertsmere Borough Council from Potters Bar residents. The review will involve a working group of Potters Bar Borough councillors, electoral services and relevant council departments to oversee this. For Potters Bar, establishing a town council could bring several benefits. It would give residents more direct influence over local matters, such as creating a neighbourhood plan, maintaining public spaces, improving high streets, and giving local voice to matters such as parking and community safety. It could ensure that our town's specific needs are better represented, especially as the local government reorganisation means we are moving towards larger unitary authorities with fewer elected members than at present, making them potentially more remote from the communities they are supposed to serve. Local town councillors drawn from the community may be better placed to understand local issues and could respond more quickly than a more distant unitary authority. I know that Potters Bar residents care deeply about their community, and I'm sure that many will step forward to represent. However, it would be wrong to assume that a town council would come without costs. There will be a new layer of bureaucracy and staff to support it. The town council will be able to raise a precept collected through the local council tax, and unlike the borough council, this may be uncapped, subject to the decision of the new town councillors. Indeed, the additional taxation was the main reason why the people of Potters Bar rejected such a proposal in the referendum in 2007. Residents therefore need to consider whether this new council will be more effective and weigh the cost of additional precept against potential benefits. I realise I'm running out of time, but basically just urging people to support this. Thank you.
Councillor Clapper, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Tonight we are discussing two issues that go to the heart of trust in local government: who holds power and how it's exercised. Let me start with Potters Bar. This is a town with a strong identity, from Darks Lane to the High Street, from Oakmere Park to Fursfield, communities that care deeply about their area. And residents there have come forward and asked for change through a governance review. From our perspective, local government should be closer to residents, more accountable, and not weighed down by unnecessary layers. So if we move forward, we must ensure that this delivers real local representation, does not create additional cost burden for residents, and genuinely gives people in Potters Bar more say over their decisions in their daily lives. Because people in Potters Bar don't want more bureaucracy, they want more control. Now, turning to constitutional changes. These may seem technical, but they are not. They shape how decisions are made and who gets a voice in them. And this is where there is a real concern, because we are being asked to consider changes that have come through a panel, CMDP, as previously mentioned in my earlier question, where not all political groups are represented. Neither Reform nor Hertsmere First have seats on that panel. Yet the outcomes of that panel affect us all and all of our residents, so how can that be considered fully representative? If governance changes are being shaped in a forum that excludes parts of this chamber, then by definition, this process is incomplete. Reform's position is clear. We should be strengthening transparency, scrutiny, and inclusivity in decision-making, not narrowing them. Because once decision-making becomes concentrated, even subtly, public trust is weakened. So tonight, we support local democracy in Potters Bar, but ensure it delivers real power, not just structure. And on constitutional changes, we must be honest. If the process isn't representative, the outcome risks not being either. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
I shall call upon Councillor Gray to sum up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members, for all of your comments.
There is a Labour slot if anyone wants to take it.
Yeah, we have a provision for any Labour. Yeah, you want to say something, Councillor Myers? Yeah, come on, Councillor Myers. Add your contribution.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I'm really pleased to welcome the launch of the Community Governance Review for Potters Bar. This has not come out of thin air. It has been driven by local people. A petition signed by over 7.5% of the town's population, all verified by electoral services as actual Potters Bar residents, is no small thing, especially when every single signature was gathered in person. In an age where everything is done online, that level of face-to-face engagement says something powerful. It speaks to genuine interest, real conversations on doorsteps, and a clear appetite for change. Those signatures came from people of all backgrounds and all parts of Potters Bar, and that matters. This is not a niche campaign or a view of a small group. It reflects a broad cross-section of our community who want to say how their town is run. So I want to place on record my thanks to everyone who signed the petition and to those who gave up their time to organise, speak to neighbours and to make the case. That kind of community effort deserves recognition. Now the responsibility shifts to all of us here. The CGR is an opportunity to properly test the appetite, to hear from even more residents and to shape what a future town council could look like. With local government reorganisation just over the hill, the stakes are clear. As decisions move further away, people want to ensure that there is still a strong local voice rooted in the town itself. So I would encourage every resident to engage with this process, have your say, help shape the outcome and be part of deciding the future governance of Potters Bar. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Yeah, Councillor Gray. Please sum up.
A little premature there. Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and thank you, members, for all of your constructive comments. Councillor Clapper, I know tonight's council meeting is being brought to us by the letters CMDP, but I can certainly guarantee you this didn't come through CMDP. This is a legal requirement that is put on us when we hit the petition threshold of 7.5%. I urge all members, look, we've said everything that we need to say. I urge all members to support it. I want to put it on record my thanks to Anastasia Evans, our Electoral Services Manager, for all the hard work she'd done in preparing this, cross-checking that the petition was valid. And I probably should apologise for the increased workload that this will bring, but I know deep down that you love this kind of stuff. So, members, I urge you all to please support this tonight. Thank you.
Members, I think we need to take this to a vote. Are you already prepared for a vote? Okay, let's go on. Okay, it's been carried. It's unanimous. Thanks. We're going to move over to agenda item number 9, and that's the decision report with regards to local plan and an update of March 2026, the Gateway Review. I shall call on Councillor Oakley to move the recommendations as set out in the report. Councillor Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Members, this report provides an important update on the progress of our local plan and seeks your approval to continue the programme into its next phase. 12 months ago, in March 2025, this Council approved an ambitious, regeneration-led approach to plan making, alongside the funding required to deliver it. We also agreed to review progress after 1 year. Today is that point, and I'm pleased to report that strong and tangible progress has been made. Despite some delay through a complex procurement process, work is now well underway. 2 major commissions are delivering essential evidence and visioning work, while our in-house team has advanced the core strategy, site allocations and policy drafting. We remain on track for Regulation 18 consultation in April, followed by Regulation 19 and submission before the end of the year. This timetable is not just ambitious, it's critical. Submitting before the end of 2026 ensures the plan is prepared under the current system, avoiding uncertainty of moving into a new and untested framework. Turning to finance, the programme remains well managed and properly resourced. Of the 2.06 million uplift agreed last year, around 1.25 million has been spent or committed, leaving approximately 1.43 million in reserves. A further 1 million has been allocated in the 26-27 budget, giving us over 2.4 million available to complete the next phase. In addition, 1.3 million in new homes bonus funding is available as a contingency as required. The 2 main commissions, with a combined value of 1.6 million, are progressing as planned and will conclude within the forthcoming financial year, meaning overall costs are expected to reduce. Members should also consider the cost of not proceeding. Without an up-to-date local plan, we are more vulnerable to speculative development, costly appeals and weaker planning outcomes, all of which place greater strain on council resources. The alternative does not stop development, it removes our ability to shape it. It creates a policy vacuum, leaving decisions driven by national policy and external bodies rather than this council. By continuing, we retain control, we can direct growth to sustainable locations, secure infrastructure, and deliver high-quality places for our residents. There are, of course, risks around resources, timelines, and plan soundness, but these are understood and actively managed, and they are far outweighed by the risks of inaction. I therefore urge members to support the recommendation to continue with the local plan programme.
I shall call upon Councillor Richards.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I rise to second the motion, but I reserve my right to speak.
Now this matter is now open for a debate. I shall first call upon Councillor Cohen, please.
Planning crisis of this administration's making. For years we've been promised a local plan, first within 6 months, then a year, then 2. We are now 3 years on and still no plan in place. Meanwhile, the consequences are plain for us all to see. We are experiencing the highest levels of speculative development in Hertsmere's history. Applications are coming forward not because they are part of a coherent strategy, but because we have created a policy vacuum. Development is happening to us, not for us. And the report itself admits the risk. Without a local plan, decisions are increasingly dictated by national policy and the planning inspectorate, not by this council or our communities. Even more damning is the inspector's conclusion this week that our housing land supply has collapsed to just 0.98 years, and there is no evidence, he says, that this will be resolved anytime soon. That is not just a technical failure, it is a total failure of leadership. Let's be clear to us all and our residents what this means. It means more unplanned development. It means infrastructure lagging behind, roads, schools, healthcare. It means increasing pressure on our green belt without a strategic framework to defend it. This Labour, Liberal, Democrat administration cannot continue to blame previous administrations, process, consultants or complexity. They chose the timetable, they made the promises, and they have failed to deliver. Our residents understand this. They've made their views clear in recent by-elections, county elections and the general election. The truth is simple. The erosion of our green belt, the strain on our communities and the loss of local control sits squarely with this Labour Liberal Democrat administration. We urgently need a credible plan, but above all, we need accountability. Thank you.
Councillor Sussman, please.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, for letting me speak on the local plan. I shall stick to time as much as I can. 3 years ago, a promise was made. 6 months and Greenbelt will be saved. Here we are 3 long years in, and all we have is a short report fit for the bin. We were told the shelves were bare, but Councillor Oakley, everything was there. 3 years in, what is there to show? Sadly, nothing, and there you go. Here we are with appeals galore, houses on fields and no greenbelt anymore. Why is this on the agenda tonight, you may ask? It is only because 12 months ago we took you to task. Another year gone by and still nothing to show. All these speculative applications, it is a real blow. The Reg 18 you propose will show people the choice, but be beware as the residents have a loud voice. The voters trusted the Labour manifesto, but all your promises gone just like that, hey presto. Nothing has been black and white, and just like that, grey has given us a fight. Without a local plan, it's been open for all, and that is all thanks to Labour's golden rule. Moving forward, residents will be keeping a close eye, hoping in 12 months it won't just be another year gone by. That all said, officers have worked very hard. It is certainly not down to them as to why it is marred. Finally, to any cynics who think this was done by ChatGPT, I wish to promise you it was all just me. Thank you, Mr Mayor, for allowing me to say my bit. I will now take a step back and shall sit.
You've been very poetic, I can tell you that. Okay, I'll call upon Councillor Emmer, please.
Yeah, thank you, Mr Mayor. I'm not quite sure how to follow that, and I don't think I can do the poet laureate that you've done. I want to start by saying that, you know, over the last few years, I've got a pretty good working relationship with Councillor Nick Oakley, and I do recognise the effort she's put into what is, frankly, one of the most complex and politically difficult portfolios in local government. But, you know, residents in Hertsmere don't experience process like we do. They experience outcomes, and right now the outcome is, sorry, Councillor Oakley, we still don't have an adopted local plan. And I'm very pleased to hear that by the end of this year we hopefully will. You know, from memory, and I'm sure people on the other benches will correct me if I'm wrong, when officers gave a report on this some time back, they quoted the planning inspector's comment saying that he thought it was pretty deplorable that Hertsmere didn't have a local plan in existence. Since the change in administration in 23, we have heard, sadly, repeated assurances about progress, Reg 18, Reg 19, and a trajectory towards submission. Yet here we are still talking about consultations and not conclusions. As Councillor Oakley honestly pointed out, you know, significant sums of money do continue to be spent. As the report states, you know, 1.25 million was spent on this project last year and into this year, and there is another if my calculations are correct, 3.7 million or up to that figure that can be drawn on from the end of this year onwards. And I say this constructively, you know, delay is not a neutral act. In planning, delay often means losing control over where development goes and what it looks like and how it's supported by infrastructure. What adds to this concern is the wider context with devolution and the move towards unitary structure on the horizon. There's a real risk we won't actually get any decision on it at all and it will be taken out of our hands. So whilst I do respect the work that's gone in, I think it's fair to say residents are entitled not just at what stage we're at, but when this will finally be delivered. And you know, I think people are fed up with us talking more about the idea of a local plan than actually having one. But I do hope that we get to.
Yeah, your time is up, please. Yeah.
Apologies.
I'll come over to Councillor Green, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I was asked to speak on this, and to be honest, I couldn't quite at the beginning think what to say, because the bottom line is that yes, we need a plan and we don't have one yet. And it isn't that we don't have one from want of trying. We had to start again because the last one was shelved, and it's obvious to everybody, isn't it, that it is not as easy as it sounds, and it most certainly isn't as easy as the Conservatives would have you believe. And because if it was that easy, they would have done it properly in the first place. We have a real lack of housing. And I would ask, respectfully, every single person who is in here who sits on a planning committee, who does actually hear a speculative application, to consider whether it's right or wrong and to not play games with the process. Because yes, until we have a plan, we're going to have speculative applications. But this plan needs to be done properly because it is the roadmap for Hertsmere, and it is the roadmap for our children of where they will live and where they will grow up and where their children will go. So I am very pleased we're on track. Yes, it's taken longer than it should have done, but we're doing it properly. It would be nice if people could actually listen to me when I'm speaking. Thank you very much. Thank you. Yeah, because it's important. I take it seriously, and we will get there, and we will do it properly. And yes, it's taken longer than it should have done, right? But to play games with it is to play games with people's future of where they are going to live. And most people in this room, I think, probably have got somewhere to live, but a lot of people haven't.
Councillor Richard, I think you reserve your right to speak. Please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And can I just say, I completely agree with Councillor Green. That was very well spoken. Local plans are not inexpensive processes. You know, we discussed this last year. The opposition would potentially have us spending £1 million on free parking in the borough. But you know, this shows that we absolutely have to be on the right track. We have to keep the funding secure, and this is a gateway process. And the gateway, you know, April is the time for the big debate on the local plan itself. This should really be a formality in terms of it being a staging process in how to get from A to B. I'd like to thank Councillor Oakley for her work on the process, and also especially planning strategy officers for their hard work in bringing substantive reports to the member planning panel. The alternatives are not worth contemplating. It's not something that we can kick down the road in terms of local government reorganisation. Planning decisions should be made as close to those locations, development locations as possible. And I look forward to a robust debate in April. Makes also the current ongoing presentations that are coming around the borough, where residents are able to see our sort of vision for the settlements, more importantly, very timely. And also I was very happy to be at the Bushy Country Club site yesterday, where it was an extremely busy and informative session, many discussions taking place there. Thank you.
Councillor Oakley, you will sum up, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'm really not going to take any lessons on creating local plans from the opposition over there. Do I really need to remind you what happened to your local plan? Had to be set aside, 17,000 objections. When we took the administration, we said we would produce a draft local plan for Reg 18 in 6 months. It took 9 months. I think I could be forgiven for taking an extra 3 months when you actually left us with precisely nothing to work on. Now, that went out to Reg 18 2 years ago. Since then, government policy has changed substantially. We've had changes to the MPPF, so we have had to revise that Regulation 18 document, and we have had to find sites for a significantly higher housing target, and that is what has taken time. We have had to include sites that have come through the most recent call for sites. We've had to update 25 evidence bases, and that's what the cost has been to this local authority in order to do that. We have to provide a sound local plan that an inspector will approve and allow us to actually introduce. Now, you talk about the land supply. Yes, that's absolutely true. We inherited a poor land supply from you, and you, on the planning committee, throw out planning applications that will provide decent housing in good locations just for the sheer hell of it. So as I said, I'm not taking any lessons. What we need to do is take positive action, produce a local plan, and this council needs to agree to progress this and to approve the funding set out in the...
Your time is up, please. Okay, I think we need to go over for a vote. Are we all ready for a vote? Well, this has been carried. We're moving over to agenda item number 10. That is the decision report on consolidated constitutional changes relating to March 2026. Members, the changes to the planning delegations are minor, and therefore I move the recommendations set out in the report from the chair. Can the deputy mayor confirm? Oh, she's not around. Yeah. Okay, Councillor Gray, can you?
Mr. Mayor, yeah, I'm very happy to second this.
Okay, thanks. Okay, members, are we happy to go straight to the vote? It has been carried so far, I think, from what I've seen. Okay. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. You're welcome. Okay, we're over to agenda item number 11, and that is the special urgency decision quarterly report. And Council, can we please note that in the last quarter, no key decisions have been taken in circumstances of special urgency. Thank you. Then we're going to reach over to agenda item number 12, that is the urgent decisions exempt from calling. No urgent decisions have been taken with my approval as set out in the Constitution. Can we note this, please? Please have it noted. Yeah. Now we reach over to agenda item number 13, report of the leader of the council. The process for dealing with the leader's report is clear. As the leader is not here, the deputy leader will be covering the meeting and will speak first. After that, there will be 45 minutes for questions and answers. This includes a response by the leader of the opposition group, who may speak on matters relating to the report for the same length of time as the deputy leader, or a minimum of 10 minutes. After this, other members may wish to ask questions of the deputy leader, avoiding personal statements and only raising questions on matters raised by the deputy leader. I will expect you to raise your questions of the deputy leader succinctly and not make lengthy statements. Councillor Shenton may choose to call on a cabinet member or a committee chair to respond to the questions. So I now call upon the deputy leader to speak. Councillor Shenton, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Councillor Newmark is somewhere between here and Japan, so this month it falls to me to present the leader's report. Reminds me of reading out your news at primary school. Firstly, I'd like to mention someone who isn't here tonight. Well, that's what I wrote, and then I found out that she is here tonight. Meenal Sachdev. Meenal has been a borough councillor for 11 years, but has resigned in order to take up a new role in public service. In the time I have known her, she's been a conscientious and hard-working councillor who has been a credit to this council. I wish her great success in her new role. We will all have seen news reports of the deplorable arson attack on ambulances in Golders Green. The police have arrested 2 people in connection with the crime, and this is, of course, good news. The service running those ambulances also provides a service in Boreham Wood, and I think all members will want to express our total solidarity with Hertsmere Hearts at this time. Group leaders have been copied on a letter from the police officer in charge of Hertsmere, in which he describes the actions being taken by the police to enhance their support. A public consultation event at Bushy Golf and Country Club ran yesterday afternoon and evening. It's not just that it's in my ward, but also it's the biggest project that this council will carry out during our term. So very important that we get it right. It's taken a long time to get to where we are now. It wasn't the last council, but the one before that started the process of deciding what to do with a golf course that had become unviable. COVID did intervene, but it has taken too long to get where we are now. At last, though, clear and viable plans are being presented to the residents, and the feedback we got yesterday was, on the whole, useful and constructive. I was very pleased that so many people came along and made their views known. Some are diametrically opposed to others, but on the whole, the people I spoke to were helpful and positive. The future of the site is only ours to decide whilst Hertsmere Borough Council exists, of course. There is a huge imperative to get firm plans and, crucially, commercial agreements in place whilst we still exist. The proposals presented yesterday combine commercial elements that will help keep Bushy a vibrant centre, a new community hub bringing together many existing plus new facilities in a purpose-built building, some much-needed housing, especially social and affordable, and preserving the overwhelming majority of the site as open land secured for public use into the future. I trust this council with the best permanent use of this site rather than whoever our successor may be. One opportunity for the new community hub is to host a parish or town council. and I'm very encouraged at the level of enthusiasm in Bushy, and even more in Potters Bar, for a consultation. I remember over 30 years ago we were asked if we wanted a parish council in Bushy, and at the time I couldn't see the value proposition. But things are different now. With the imminent arrival of a unitary authority, this will simultaneously mean that decision-making moves further away from communities geographically and in terms of population. Should we end up in a two-unitary model, there will be over 600,000 residents in the authority, and it won't be based in Boreham Wood. Having a town council that for fairly modest levy can protect things like leisure and cultural assets from the council's overall budget seems well worth exploring. Potters Bar has now collected enough signatures to move to the next stage, and Bushy is not too far behind. I'd like to thank the members of the Bushy Forum for their stalwart efforts in getting signatures on the petition to bring about a formal consultation. This week, we have heard the outcome of the appeal against the rejection by the Planning Committee of the application for Shenley Hill in Radlett. The inspector confirmed that the application site is Greybelt and overturned the decision of our committee. Happily, no costs were awarded. We've known for some time that the government has given itself the power to remove the right of local planning authorities to determine major applications where they, the government, judges that the authority has rejected too many. We've long been under threat from the HCLG of having our right to determine major planning applications taken away from us, allowing applicants to go straight to the planning inspectorate. Should that happen, it is very unlikely that the planning inspector will have a natural sympathy for objectors, be that the council or residents. I've recently been involved in two very different meetings of council companies. Last Monday, at a board meeting of Hertsmere Development Limited, we bowed to the inevitable and agreed to close the company, at least as a going concern. The company has built several developments, has returned a profit to the council. However, it currently has no staff. Given the remaining time the council has, the board considered that there was no value in attempting to recruit new staff to continue the company as a going concern. In the long term, we would expect to merge with an authority that has an active development company. At the other end of the life cycle, the following day I attended the inaugural board meeting of Elstree Immersive, the council company set up to develop the immersive film experience in Boreham Wood. This is really a very exciting development. I've lived in Hertsmere since I was at primary school, and whilst evidence of the film and TV industry is all around, nothing was open and accessible to the general public. Creating Elstree Immersive offers an exciting opportunity for film fans to get inside productions. This is an opportunity to reinvigorate a part of the town that looks a little dishevelled and unloved. The industry experience of the independent directors is impeccable, and our location and history of filmmaking gives us a unique selling point. From a council finance point of view, it offers a highly effective way of diversifying our sources of funding. Governments of all stripes reduce our income with monotonous regularity. It's our task to find new ways to make good that loss and to allow us to keep providing vital services to our residents. At Millbrook Green in North Bushy, the new playground was opened on Monday. The new playground was built using SIL monies on a piece of ground previously just open space. North Bushy is a part of the borough with less than its fair share of recreational facilities, and this is a great facility for the area's younger children. Initial impressions seem very favourable. I think that's a happy note for me to end on. Thank you.
I shall call upon the Leader of the Opposition, Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I want to begin on a note of deep sadness and solidarity. We were all shocked by the devastating anti-Jewish attack in Golders Green, where 4 Hertsmere ambulances were destroyed in an act of arson. And this was not just an attack on vehicles, it was an attack on a community, on compassion, and on everything that we stand for. Because Hertsmere is not just an emergency service, it is a lifeline, built by the community for the community. Here in Borehamwood and Bushy, we are proud of our Hertsmere volunteers. Some, I am proud to say, are sat next to me tonight. And these are people who step forward at any hour, serving everyone, regardless of background. And they show us what true community looks like. And today, my Conservative group here will stand with them and say clearly that hatred will never define us, our community will. And Mr. Mayor, I was also honoured to attend the groundbreaking ceremony of the Jewish Life Centre in Borehamwood. This building represents far more than bricks and mortar. It is the result of years of belief from this community. What began with a small marquee has grown into a permanent home for the centre. Standing alongside families, inscribing names and values into the very fabric of that building on bricks was a powerful reminder of what community truly means, something we build together for generations to come. And in that same spirit, it was heartwarming to hear how our community came together at Meadow Park in Borehamwood to celebrate the vibrant Festival of Holy, a festival filled with colour, music, laughter and unity. I heard it was a really joyful and memorable occasion. And yes, it was just a pity that no one on this side of the chamber appeared to have been invited. Because as Conservatives, we recognise how important these events are for us all. Because they bring people together, they build friendships and they strengthen the bonds that make our communities thrive. And that spirit continues in the days ahead. This Sunday marks Palm Sunday, followed by Easter celebrations across our borough. And our Christian community will come together in faith and reflection with events open to all, including the Walk of Witness in Potters Bar on Good Friday, which I encourage you all to attend and witness at 10:45 a.m. at Potters Bar War Memorial. You're all very, very welcome. And it's moments like these that matter, because they remind us that community is not just where we live, but how we all come together. After 11 years of dedicated service, our Conservative councillor, Minal Sachdev, will be stepping down as she prepares for her role as High Sheriff of Hertfordshire in 2027. And it's been a genuine privilege to serve alongside Minal. She brings not just professionalism to this chamber, but real heart. She's been a role model to me and to many others across this chamber, demonstrating that public service is about people. Her work supporting women and girls, raising awareness of modern slavery, has been courageous, compassionate, and impactful. She was an integral part of the LGA policy making that our very own council adopted on modern slavery. But beyond that, it's her integrity, her determination, and her unwavering commitment to doing the right thing that truly defines her. She'll be greatly missed here in this chamber, but this is simply the next chapter in a life of service for her. We're so proud of you, Minal. And what a moment of pride for our borough. Borehamwood FC making history, winning the National League Cup, the first non-league club ever to achieve this. Under the leadership of Danny Hunter, this is a club that's always put residents first, supporting local people and giving back, particularly in areas like Cowley Hill. And it shows what can be achieved when success is rooted in community values. And that sense of community matters, not just locally, but nationally too. A few weeks ago, I was at a Conservative Spring Conference, sat on the front row listening to our leader, Kemi Badenoch, set out a clear plan to renew our country. Now, I should say I didn't get there entirely by accident. I've had some excellent coaching from Caroline Clapper, Councillor Clapper, on how to secure a front row seat, and more importantly, how to be exactly in the right place when the camera appears, and I think I've just finally mastered it. But what really struck me sitting there, as a mother on that front row, was the focus on protecting our children and supporting families. Because this is about the world that our children grow up in. A Conservative government have announced that they would ban under-16s from accessing social media platforms, because childhood should not be shaped by algorithms. There would be stronger age verification across online platforms, putting responsibility back where it belongs. And a real shift towards empowering parents, not the state, when it comes to raising our children. Because strong families build strong communities, and strong communities build a strong country. And alongside that is a very simple principle. People should feel safe where they live. Fed up of seeing antisocial behaviour ignored? or so are we. And that is why, as a Conservative, I will clearly say we will fight to put back the rights of ordinary, law-abiding people first and take back our streets, tackling the scourge of antisocial behaviour, criminal damage in our town, rudeness, spitting on our pavements, and blatant drug use in the parks that our children play in. But, Chair, while we celebrate community, we must also confront the reality that in too many ways is being eroded. 3 years ago, residents were promised a local plan within 6 months, and 3 years later, we still don't have one. And the truth is, we may not even see one within the lifetime of this council, and residents were misled. And without a local plan, our borough has been left exposed to speculative development. No joined-up thinking, no infrastructure-first planning, and no coherent vision. Just development happening to our communities, and not planned with them. And we saw this at Shenley Hill, a development residents did not want, and one our planning committee rejected. But now it's been imposed at appeal under national Labour policy. But what comes next is a choice. This administration is now preparing its local plan, and they will choose to follow that policy rather than stand up for our residents. They will follow, not lead. And that is the real failure here. Because leadership is not about hiding behind government policy, it's about standing up for your community. And let me be absolutely clear, Labour and the Liberal Democrats in this room are ripping the heart out of our Greenbelt here in Hertsmere, piece by piece, decision by decision. You have a choice. And we see that failure when it comes to HMOs. Residents raise real concerns about exponential growth. Family homes being lost, pressure on school places, parking stretched to breaking point, communities changing beyond recognition. And we listened and we acted. We proposed additional licensing, Chair, and an immediate Article 4 direction. Practical, sensible solutions. And what did the administration do? Refused, delayed, blocked. Too scared to stand on the side of residents.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, point of order.
Even though Labour residents, Labour councils such as Barnet, Southwark and Wandsworth have taken action.
I've made a point of order.
Thank you, Mr Mayor.
Yeah,
Even their own promised measures have not been delivered.
Mr Mayor, point of order.
Their administration is irreversibly damaging our communities and damaging...
Mr Mayor, point of order.
Residents know this because the impact is real.
Okay, look, excuse me. Yes.
I will skip on to the next point, Mr Mayor.
Pardon me. He has stopped the clock and he has advised me to, please.
Yes, thank you, Mr Mayor. Point of order to 40.2. The Leader's report. The Leader of the Opposition has a chance to respond to the items that were brought up in the Leader's report. There was no mentions of HMOs, there was no mentions of planning issues, there was no mentions of half of what was in that speech there so far. She needs to stick to the facts of what was presented by the Leader. Thank you.
Thank you.
You have made your point, I think. Let me refer to my legal team.
Sorry, Mr Mayor, may I... Thank you.
1 minute, please.
I wrote them all down.
Please respond to the item
thank
of
you,
the Leader's report.
Thank
respond
you, Mr Mayor.
Issue relating to the Leader's report.
Yes, so Councillor Shenton mentioned Minnow, Councillor, planning, communities, appeals, playgrounds, so I can talk about playgrounds, talked about children, he talked about planning, HMOs come under planning SPD, I'm getting to my point, I'm literally just past that bit. Thank you, Mr Mayor. And once that's gone, it's incredibly difficult to rebuild. So I'm asking one last time on behalf of our residents, before you rudely interrupted me, Councillor Gray, will you reconsider as administration implementing additional licensing to help protect our residents while they await Article 4? And Mr Mayor, there is another issue residents raise with us from time to time, and that's fly tipping. And it's a scourge in our communities, as it is in Bushy as well. It blights our streets.
Excuse me, Councillor Sullivan, that was not mentioned. Please, just stick on to the Leader's report.
So community matters, Mr Mayor. We see it in Hertsmere, in the Jewish Life Centre, in Holy Festival, in Eid celebrations, in Palm Sunday and in Easter, in our football club, Bournemouth FC, and in those who serve like Minnell. And that's what we fight for every single day in this chamber. We believe in protecting our greenbelt like Shenley Hill, we believe in properly planned development, and we believe in strong, cohesive communities. And above all, we believe in putting residents first. And residents will make that choice when they go to that ballot box, and they'll choose a council that defends their communities or ones that allows them to be eroded, people that listen or people that ignore. or people that act rather than delay and deflect. So, Mr. Mayor, we Conservatives will always stand on the side of our residents, who have been spoken about many times tonight, because without strong communities, we really do have nothing. Thank you.
Okay. I shall now call on any other members to raise any questions that they may have regarding matters raised in the Deputy Leader's report. I shall take them in group of threes. Okay, the Conservative have just spoken. I'll come over to Councillor Allen, please. Yeah, then after then I'll go over to Councillor Clapper, and then someone in the somebody, of course.
Good to go?
Yeah, please.
What does the Deputy Leader see as the three main options for the future of the country club site in Bushy?
Yeah. Councillor Clapper, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. It is 8:36 and we are halfway through the Leader's report. I wonder why this night is different from all other nights. Something has definitely changed, but I can't quite put my finger on the reason for that. I will keep this brief. Firstly, I would like to also pay tribute to me now, my dear ex-colleague, friend, wonderful opportunity you've got ahead. I'm sure you're going to do fantastic things with it. And I think everyone in this chamber is really looking forward to following your journey. It's very well deserved. So my deepest congratulations to you. Lovely to see you here. On our group, we are devastated about what happened with the solar ambulances. For those of you that don't know, they don't just serve the Jewish community, they serve all faiths. It was a really sickening attack, and it raises serious questions about the boldness of the anti-Semitic attacks that are happening. I'm really pleased that the government stepped in and decided to replace those ambulances. I'm really pleased that so many people from across the community, across the UK, decided to contribute to helping to secure a covered base for those ambulances. It's something we should all be very proud of, but it's something that we shouldn't have to be proud of. So our thoughts go out to everyone, and our thanks go out to all the volunteers, and we are just pleased that nobody was in those ambulances at that time. I just wanted to quickly talk about, Councillor Shenton, you mentioned the consultation for Bushy Country Club. It's been mentioned that we had the Shenley Hill appeal, which was allowed this week. Also a week of consultations where we had a consultation for the new Radlett Garden suburb, where 600 homes are being proposed in Radlett. That is a 20% increase on the Radlett population. Along with Shenley Hill, you're talking about a very big effect on the local area. As the local councillor, I do have some concerns about the combined effect of that. I would say to all residents who are watching, please make sure when you have the opportunity to go to these consultations to put your thoughts forward, you do as much as you can. We are very disappointed. Myself, I know Councillor Selby, Councillor Rosehill and Councillor Lambert are very disappointed about the outcome of the Shenley Hill appeal. We spoke there. It didn't go the way that we wanted, but we would... Sorry? I'm speaking on the Leader's report. I'm speaking in response. So would you not agree with me, Councillor Shenton, that we should have concerns in Radlett about the impact of the infrastructure? Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Oh, and may I just say,
Your time is up, Councillor Clapper. Councillor Shenton, do you wish to respond? The question that was posed to you, you know?
I will respond to Councillor Allen, because there was a clear question there. So the three main options for the country club. Firstly, I would like to pay tribute, give credits to those members of this chamber who have worked for the last 3 years on the working party that has put forward got the country club to where it is now. To Councillor Morris, to Councillor Allen, to Councillor Oakley and Councillor Myers, a proper cross-party effective group. So the outcome, though, it could be left alone. If it was left alone, our successor authority would sell it off. We could sell it off. If we did, it would be completely built on. Or we could take the difficult option, which is what, as a cross-party group, we have decided to build a community centre that we can be proud of, to build appropriate retail and commercial operations, and to build a constrained number of houses in a small proportion of the site, which gives us, I think, the best of all worlds. And I say I pay credit to all the cross-party members who've worked on this. We've come up with the same attitude, with the same view, and I'm very pleased to see it getting to fruition. Councillor Clappers, I'm sorry, I didn't see what the question was. Concerned about Radlett. Radlett's one of those desperately poor, impoverished areas that we're always very concerned about, obviously. It is what it is. The planning rules have been brought in by successive governments, and over the years, very little development has happened in Radlett. So, yes, I would rather we had more control over our planning. We don't. We live in the real world. Thank you.
I shall call upon three other, Councillor Emmerich, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. 2 points and then 1 question for Councillor Shenton. I think everybody in the Chamber agrees that Minal has done the most amazing job over the last sort of 10, 11 years, and I'm sure we again wish her all the best in her new role. Hertsmere, Monday morning, Councillor Alexander and I were on the phone actually at 5 o'clock. I woke up to that news and saw Graham was online, so rang him, and absolutely atrocious. And I spoke to some people Monday and Tuesday, and I was well aware that, as other members here have said, that Hertsmere serves the entire, it's not just the Jewish community, it's everybody. And I've actually spoken to people in Bournemouth and in Golders Green, where I used to work running a nursing home, that they've actually recently helped out Muslim families, and some of which were actually very devout. So, it's appalling, and it's very good news that at least a couple of the people have been caught, hopefully, and will be charged. Question to you, Councillor Crescenton. As you know, I've done quite a bit locally. I've managed, with some help from some others, to get quite a few hundred extra signatures for the Bushy Parish thing. I just want to ask, has your group or are your group going to get out there as well and start trying to get the last few hundred signatures we need? And if you are, I'm very happy to help you. Thanks.
Okay, what I'll do, I'll go over to Councillor Morris, then Councillor Myers. Then thereafter, we'll start a new phase of 3 questions.
Thank you. I thought you were going to go to a few others first, but I'm always happy to talk. Thank you very much indeed.
I'm going into a group of 3,
Thank you very much. First of all, I'd just like to give some congratulations to Councillor Shenton, who has led us through the Bushy Country Club mire, I might say. It is no easy task, and I'm sure we haven't reached the end of the process. It has been challenging, but it has also been very, very refreshing that we are able to deal with such issues in a cross-party way. We don't always agree, but we get there in the end. So I would like to give some congratulations in that respect. I would also like to say a fond farewell to Minal, who I've worked with for many years, and I think we should all be very proud of the contribution that she has made to this chamber. So thank you very much indeed, Minal. It's regrettable that Councillor Newmark is not available this evening, but I'm sure he's either on his way or sitting on a plane enjoying himself, which will be far better than sitting in this chamber this evening. However, I'm confident that Councillor Shenton is sufficiently aware as Deputy Leader of the issues pertaining to the Leader's report. What I find challenging is that Leader has failed to report on his visit to Mippin recently, a very important, it would seem, event. And what is clear is that Councillor Newmark has declared a financial benefit of that of £4,600 for a 2-day trip to Cannes in the south of France. As the declaration provides no breakdown of these costs, Could this be provided with a total breakdown of these costs to include the flight, hotel, entertainment, conference fees, and any entertainment during the event, including receipts, please, because this seems to be an exorbitantly high amount for a 2-day trip. Thank you.
Okay, Councillor Myers, please. And then... Yeah.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And as it was mentioned by the Leader of the Opposition, I just want to mention the Holly event, just to say that nobody was invited. It was a public event. Anyone could have gone. It was advertised everywhere. But on that note, with Deputy Leader, join me in thanking the organisers of that Holly event, which was absolutely fantastic, and specifically Councillor Rani, who, along with her son, Councillor Tushar Kumar, the Deputy Mayor of Elstree and Boreham Wood, were fully involved in the whole organisation of that. So, a fantastic event. Congratulations to them and to all the organisers, and would you join me in thanking them, Deputy Leader? Thank you.
Yeah, please, Councillor Shenton, can you respond?
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So, the first question was, have the Liberal Democrats members been collecting signatures? Yes, we have. My colleague Annabelle has been out there with some other members collecting numerous signatures, and myself and Councillor Richards made a contribution out of our Whiz Fund to help the Bushy Forum to organise the public meeting to raise interest in the parish. Cross-party benefit, yes. Sorry, this is really a question directed towards the Leader of the Council, because, you know, I am unaware of what he has claimed or not claimed, or been entitled to claim or not claim. So I will pass that over to him on his return. And Chris, yes, I would absolutely agree with you in thanking the Parveen and Tusha for their splendid contribution. Thank you.
To the group of three again. Okay, I think Councillor Cohen was, then you always will still have an opportunity.
Thank you. I just want to make one comment and then one question. As somebody who volunteers with Hatsala, this attack did feel and does feel to all of us really personal. Seeing 4 ambulances, one which I drive, vehicles that exist purely to save lives, targeted in an anti-Jewish act, is something I, and I'm sure any of us, would have ever thought we would witness in our community and in our country. Yet, what has followed has actually begun to restore our faith. The outpouring of support from across Hertsmere has been absolutely extraordinary. One of my Elstree residents on that day launched a fundraiser that has already surpassed £140,000, enough most probably to provide us with 3 fast assistant vehicles. And tomorrow night, people are going to come together at the Wellington pub to do even more. In the darkest moments, we see the best of people, and Hertsmere has shown its very best, and that gives me, and I'm sure all of us, genuine help. But I've got a question now to the Deputy Leader on a completely different topic. I welcome the work that's being done during National Empty Homes Week, as stated in our papers, but isn't this ultimately tinkering at the margins of a much bigger national government failure? Because while councils like Hertsmere decimate our green belt, it is the Labour government that is allowing developers to sit on vast land banks, over 1 million homes with planning permission still unbuilt, while simultaneously imposing top-down housing targets that threaten boroughs like ours. So my question is, do you agree with me that instead of backing a Labour approach that concretes over Hertsmere's green belt, the real solution is to get tough on developers who hoard land and fail to build before asking communities like ours to sacrifice even more?
Councillor Allen, please. Yes, of course.
I'd also, I never thought I'd say this, but I'd also like to thank Councillor Morris, not once but twice. I'd like to echo the comments about his contribution to the country club process. I think it's been very, very important. But also, he and I have teamed up to deliver a new bench for Bushy High Road, a great example of cross-party working. We are unlikely bedmates, in fact, or unlikely benchmates, but it's worth noting. My question is this. Back in September of 2021, this group here, we've heard a lot about local plans today, voted to put through to public consultation a local plan draft which included Herts Farm off Little Bushy Lane. My question is, what happened last week?
Councillor Gray, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor, and I'd like to offer our congratulations to Minal Sekhtev on her elevation to High Sheriff of Hertfordshire. If I could make a request, I do hope you take a feather out of Annie Brewster's hat and you rock the breeches and sword, because I think that would be a fantastic look. But in all seriousness, I don't want to preempt what your theme may be for your year as High Sheriff, but if it involves kind of modern slavery, violence against women and girls, etc., from Councillor Nicholas and myself, the door in Hertsmere is always open to work with you constructively to provide any support that you may need in your role. I want to also place on record my thanks to the Economic Development team and Patricia, in particular with the launch of the Lights Camera Action in Hertsmere, positioning Hertsmere to be a true champion and centre of excellence for film and TV in this borough, not only with Elstree Film Studios, Sky Studios and Fairbank Studios. And I'm sure Councillor Bright and yourself, Deputy Leader, will agree that actually kind of taking cheap political pot shots at Elstree Film Studio does nothing to enhance its reputation and make us the excellence, centre of excellence for film, high quality film and TV production in the borough. I'll associate myself with the remarks of Councillor Sullivan. I'm really pleased that she supports the Labour government in protecting children and anything we can do in that space to help keep our children and young teens safe from online abuse or predatory behaviour is more than welcome. Thank you.
I shall call on Councillor Sullivan, please. Pardon me, Councillor Shenton, please. Can you respond?
Yeah. So to Councillor Cohen, when we became the leaders of this council, and when we had the majority of this council, we found the local plan cupboard entirely bare. Ever since the local plan regulation 18 was chucked out, and I do recall Herts Farm, as Councillor Allen has reminded me, Herts Farm was on your draft local plan. Ever since that was chucked out by the residents, you did nothing. So when we came into power, we were starting from a blank sheet. It's no wonder that it did take some time to go through all the legal processes that we had to do. In terms of should we be tough on developers, frankly, I agree with you. I agree with you completely. But this isn't a current problem. This is a problem that has gone back for decades. Successive governments have felt if they apply pressure to local authorities, housing will happen, when clearly that is not what happens. I would love to see planning applications timing out, for instance. So if people do insist on land banking and don't develop what they have promised to develop, they lose their planning permission. Unfortunately, it's not in my gift. If it was, I'm entirely with you on that and how that should work. Herts Farm, I'm very glad to say, has not made it into the local plan and was rejected by the planning committee. Sorry, Chris. No, not our local plan.
Yes, I'm going to take the group of three again. Councillor Sussman, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Roses are red, violets are red. No, I'm not doing that again. Two questions. The first is I didn't hear that and I don't really want to. The first question is with regards to HDL. The last that I knew is that they had, I think, one member of staff. I appreciate that we have some staffing challenges, and I wondered why we lost the member of staff and how we lost the member of staff. The second question is on this cupboard of which the shelves were bare, now there's shelves missing. I wondered, can you please clarify which studies were missing from that cupboard? Thank you.
I'm trying to be impartial and then I'm looking around. But since there is anyone from the other end, okay, yes, Councillor Brisky, please. Oh.
Yep, thank you, Mr. Mayor. The absent leader referred in the papers to the development at the garage site at Croxdale Road and Catterick Way. Can I request confirmation from the deputy leader that this development will not result in any permanent encroachment onto Aberford Park?
Okay, Councillor Bright, please.
Thank you very much indeed. He's doing very well, Councillor Shenton, until that cupboard. Can I just say to Councillor Shenton about the cupboard being bare, to remind Councillor Shenton that he, myself and Councillor Oakley are not the tallest of people in the world, and perhaps they should have looked on the shelves a bit higher up. Can I also say, and excuse my pronunciation, but since Councillor Shenton said that the leader is somewhere between Japan and here, which actually is Kazakhstan, isn't it? Somewhere between here and Japan. Can I just say, Ohayo gozaimasu, kiko ete imasu, which means in Japanese, because it's there, it's almost 9 o'clock, it means, good morning, leader, are you receiving me? But he might not be up yet because it's not quite 6 o'clock. Mr. Deputy Leader, I must make a comment and I must ask you a question or I will fall foul of the Constitution. Former Councillor Sashdev Minal first came to see me in 2013, it was 2 years before she got elected, to talk about the possibility of becoming a borough councillor. And at the time, she was unsure whether or not she had the ability. She questioned her ability to take on such a role. She was quiet, she was thoughtful, and she was modest. And I'm very glad that we managed to persuade her to take on the role. And you've all quoted just some of the amazing things that she's done, so I won't go through them all over again. What I would say is that 13 years later, as she prepares for this elevation, she remains quiet, thoughtful, and very modest. Just the sort of people that we need in public service. I couldn't have been prouder of her, and it's been an honour to help mentor her and bring her through these times. And I just say, let's continue to support her as she moves up into the next role. So my question to the Deputy Leader is, 13 years I've known Minal, but it was 10 years before I discovered it was actually pronounced Minal, not Minal. So did you know it was Minal and not Minal? And would you agree that she should forgive me for having mispronounced it for 10 years? But her work nonetheless is something we all admire. Thank you.
Okay. Councillor Shenton, yeah, please, can you respond?
Thank you. Well, I'll start with that bit. If I have mispronounced your name, I am very sorry. So, the encroachment onto Aberford Park, I don't definitively know. Parks are very highly protected bits of land. I would be very surprised if we have encroached onto Aberford Park, but I will check. HDL. So HDL lost its development director at the end of last year, I think it was 6 months ago, something like that. And so leaving it with one member of staff, the junior development surveyor, Abigail, who has recently been offered a job in it and taken a job in the council. So that is why we are down to no members of staff. And I am personally delighted that she has found something that she wants to do and that she's happy doing, because in that period, in that interregnum after the director left, the company was floundering. It had nothing particularly constructive to do, and the fact that she is now gainfully employed in the council, I think, is a good thing. That's which parts of the cupboard were bare? Well, which studies? At the point that the populace threw out the Regulation 18 plan, the council effectively stopped doing anything. And when we inherited little of use, and I would ask my colleague, the planning portfolio holder, to contradict me if she wishes, but we started effectively from scratch again. And that is why it took longer than we expected to actually produce our first Regulation 18 plan. there was then a change of government and the regulations changed, and we had to go back again to redo a lot of the work that had already been done. So that's why we are where we are, why it has taken longer than we had hoped.
I'll go in the same order again, taking the group of three. Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Talking about the Jewish Life Centre, I just must mention very quickly, in light of recent events, I just want to champion it. It's going to be a vital community hub for Jewish residents in my ward, Bournemouth Hillside, of which there's an incredible amount. I'm also honoured to be situated in my ward. Loved the lights, camera, Hertsmere video. I know it's mentioned in the report. Absolutely loved that, so congratulations to the administration on that. But we did talk about faith proudly in the leader's report, and I must just add that I was very proud to attend the installation, along with actually other Bournemouth councillors, of Reverend Stephen Young. He's the new rector at All Saints in Boreham Wood. He's going to be looking after 4 churches across Elstree and Boreham Wood, and there has been some lack of direction. There was an interregnum for some period, so I just wanted to mention that, to add to the faith-based mentions in this report. It's an important time for Elstree and Boreham Wood's Christian community, and we welcome Stephen Young to Hertsmere. The report does mention wasted opportunities when it comes to housing. I want to talk about maybe another one. It's linked to planning, it's linked to Article 4, it's linked to housing. Councillor Shenton, isn't there another wasted opportunity by this administration dragging its feet on HMOs engulfing Potters Bar and now Boreham Wood? 4,000 residents, Councillor Shenton, have signed a petition calling for immediate action. The nonsense that we can't introduce an immediate Article 4, it doesn't add up. Developers may ask for compensation, but they don't discuss it beforehand. There's no, they might be planning something, but they only tell you it's an HMO after. It doesn't add up, and residents are absolutely furious. Police turned up 3 times to an address in Southgate Road this week. And talking about empty homes, people in Potters Bar are petrified as soon as a house comes on the market, because they're worried it's going to be turned into an HMO. So I ask Councillor Shenton, Mr. Mayor, isn't it time the administration gets tough, gets courageous on this issue, an HMO issue which thousands are concerned about in Potters Bar, or do we need to leave that solely to a strong woman, the likes of which lead the Conservative group this side of the chamber?
Okay, Councillor Quilty, please.
That's interesting, actually, because my question follows on from exactly from where you are. And if we take the headline, Tackling Empty Homes Across Hertsmere, well, that's what Councillor Newmark has indicated in his report. So my question is, and hopefully you'll be able to answer this, how many empty homes are there in Hertsmere in total? How many empty homes are there that are owned by this council in Hertsmere? Empty homes owned by this council. And how many empty homes are owned by housing associations? I think we'll be surprised when we hear the answer. Thank you.
Well, since there is any other speaker, I will call upon Councillor Shenton, please. Yeah, Councillor Shenton.
Fortunately, I have the housing portfolio holder sat next but one to me. There are currently 1,094 empty homes, compared with a peak of 1,364 homes in 2022, when I think you were in the administration. I haven't got a breakdown of how many of those are owned by different groups, but this council doesn't own houses. It doesn't have a rent book. So on the question of HMOs in Potters Bar, we take advice from officers and from legal advice on whether or not it was appropriate to have an immediate HMO or to have the 12-month period that allows people who might have or have HMOs to challenge it. The advice is clear that if you impose an HMO straight away, then anybody, whether or not they had any intention of making an HMO out of a house, can claim that they did and would claim compensation from the borough, our very, very strong advice was that the cost of having an immediate ban on HMOs is prohibitive, and the appropriate way is to have the Article 4 over 12 months. This is the sensible, this is the financially prudent course of action.
Our thanks to all of you for your various contributions. This agenda item is now closed, but equally so, although it has been concluded, but I shall seize the opportunity to extend my thanks and appreciation to former Councillor Sajdev. You've been an asset to this body here. And there's an expression we say that even when a leopard, when it rains, although a leopard and thing, the rain doesn't wash the spot off it, you have always been a community-based person. And I have no doubt you will continue to be. May God bless you within your new role. Thanks again. We're going to move over to agenda item number 14, which is the committee chair's report. There are 15 minutes provided for the committee chair's update and any questions arising. I will take the reports as read. Members, do you have questions to any of the chairs for standards, audit, and licensing in groups of 3? No, there is in. Yeah. Okay, thank you, Chief. I'm going to move over to agenda item number 15, report of the scrutiny chairs. There's the end of that. We shall move. Thanks so much.
Mr. Mayor, there are questions to be asked, but the chair isn't here.
What?
I can ask the questions because they take the report as read. So there might be questions. Reports as read, but this is really the questions. There's any questions on those reports.
Yeah. Is there any question on all of any of the reports? Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry it's so late.
Is
no, we take them as read now.
yeah, it has been is considered to be read. Please. Okay. Is there any question? Yeah, Councillor Gray.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I wonder if you can give me an update, please, on the task and finish group that was set up back in December on fly tipping and the work that's been made towards that with Councillor Clarkson as chair. I do appreciate that Councillor Clarkson has been on hiatus for the last few months, but I'd be interested to see what work has been done and where we are in regard to that. Thank you.
Yeah. Councillor Gray. So the Hertsmere, the task and finish group that's been set up for lighting is about to meet for its first meeting and for scoping.
Okay. I shall call on Councillor Rani, please. Oh, you haven't got any question. Okay, then. Do we have any other questions? Yes, Councillor Oakley.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Yeah, my question is, given that you had a task and finish report on HMOs, I wondered whether you were following up on the progress that is being made by our officers. Because I actually have a very good piece of news I should be delivering to everybody next week.
Yeah. Can you respond, please?
Yes. We have been with the new officer. We had an email, we asked a question. We asked, first of all, a very pertinent question, which we asked Councillor Oakley and the team at Policy Review about SPDs and HMOs being part of the local plan. The answer was given, noted, he has no idea about it. The officer doesn't know anything about any new SPDs on HMOs. So I think we're pretty surprised what is going on, actually, because we know that is urgent. We know this is the chance to bring in SPDs. You bring them in with a local plan. We haven't got an SPD on an HMO, and we don't know when that's going to happen because it's not come to before the member planning panel. We also know that he's waiting for legal to authorise the paperwork before publishing relevant notices. That's still not been done. So what we're seeing is we're also asked about the website on Article 4. That's not gone live either yet. So what we're actually seeing, we are following it up completely, and we're seeing a complete lack of urgency by the administration. Residents are writing to us on a daily basis. The administration, we've made absolutely fantastic ideas. We've come with solutions. We've given the administration solutions which the public want to buy into, as you saw at Cabinet, and there has been zero action by the administration. And it is shocking because you're elected by residents, you're meant to work on behalf of residents. Residents are seeing and writing it's not being done, and it's affecting their communities dramatically. Thank you, Councillor Oakley. I did hear you said there'd be an announcement. It's a year since Councillor Newmark stood up saying we are taking action on HMOs. Action on HMOs, 1 year. Disgrace.
Yeah. Is there any question for, referring to the policy review area? There isn't. What about operation review, please? Is there any? There is any. Okay, we're going to move over. Okay. Then we're going to go over to agenda item 15, report of the scrutiny chairs. Oh, 16. Oh, we've done the 16. 16, please. I do apologize, I think. The 16. Okay, we have two motions for debate tonight. And notices of motions. We have two motions for debate tonight. And okay, we're going over to, the first motion is to amend the Constitution, the Council Procedure Rules. Please note that they have made an amendment to their motion, which is showing on the screen now. I call on Councillor Amron to move the motion.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Mayor and colleagues. I want to thank Councillor Shenton, who has shown tonight how to get a leader's report done in under 10 minutes. A 45-minute, no, genuinely, Chris, I mean that. A 45-minute leader's report is light years outside the norm. I've spoken to all our neighbouring boroughs and the ones beyond them, and I've spoken to about, either on email or in person on the phone, to about 40 other councils around the country, as far up as Grimsby and Manchester. And they've all come back with the same thing, that the leader's report is somewhere between 5 and 15 minutes maximum. So, you know, this is not a political thing. When I came up with this motion, it was actually for everybody. It was for Peter Garrity, Sajida, Harvey, Alan and his team, all of us, and the public. This is about ensuring that all members, regardless of party, are heard. So, you know, over recent months, as you all know, we seem to have developed a pattern in this council of lengthy early items of business, followed by an agenda that just simply runs out of time. And, you know, the consequence is clear. Member motions submitted in good faith by all parties and on behalf of residents often are not debated. That's not a minor procedural inconvenience. It actually goes to the heart of what full council is for. This chamber is not solely a platform for reports. It's the principal democratic forum of the borough. Every elected member has a mandate and every member must have a fair opportunity to bring forward issues affecting their communities. This motion does not restrict debate, it actually structures it. It doesn't diminish scrutiny, it protects it, and it doesn't target any individual. It actually modernises, I believe, our procedure. You know, a written leaders report circulated in advance enhances transparency, and a 15-minute oral presentation, which is what I've put forward, I think is reasonable and proportionate and in line with pretty much every council around the country. And then obviously our normal 45-minute allocation allows robust questioning while ensuring the remainder of the agenda can actually be reached. You know, if we're serious here about democratic engagement, we really can't allow member business to be squeezed out. Nor should full council routinely drift late into the evening because we fail to manage time effectively. You know, good governance requires discipline, fairness requires balance, and respect for the members that when we submit motions, which, you know, I know myself and I'm sure with others here, do sometimes take quite a lot of work and research, that they're actually heard. I believe this motion simply restores balance. You know, when debates get derailed by long speeches and filibustering, it really undermines the whole purpose of this chamber. So, you know, I'm sure I'm going to get people here tonight not agreeing with me, and that's fine. But, you know, I commend this to council, and I look forward to listening to other views. Thank you.
Councillor Rosehill, can you please second this?
Thank you. I'll be relatively brief because I'm going to probably copy exactly the same thing that Councillor Amron has just said. So it's really about doing something very simple. It's fairness in how this council conducts its business, basically. So too often we see significant amounts of time that are taken up earlier in the agenda, particularly on the leaders' report, which then leaves insufficient time for members' motions to be heard properly or even at all. And that matters because motions are one of the few opportunities that members, all members regardless of what group, have to bring forward issues, represent residents and contribute to meaningful debate. And if those are pushed out due to time pressures, then we're limiting democratic accountability in this chamber. So this amendment doesn't seek to overcomplicate things at all. It takes a very practical approach, asks for proper constitutional changes to be brought forward through the correct process. It makes very clear that the duly submitted motion should not be simply be displaced. And it also asks for a review on how we structure our agendas to ensure that debate is protected. So this isn't about politics, it's about process, making sure that this council operates in a way that is balanced and is fair, and also allows all voices to be heard, not just one for most of the evening. I struggle to see any case against this amendment, unless, of course, we're comfortable with important motions being basically run out of time. So ultimately, if we're serious about transparency and accountability, we must ensure that members' motions are given the time and respect that they deserve, and I urge members to support this amendment. Thank you.
I shall call upon Councillor Butler, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Mr. Mayor, yes, I myself would criticise the leader for times speaking far too long. However, he won't be the first leader to have spoken for far too long. I've seen it in the past with other leaders as well. Unfortunately, Councillor Bright isn't here, but he has himself in the past gone on for way over 25 minutes himself. And sometimes it is right, and it is right that a leader has to home in and focus on something. Like recently, we've obviously the ambulance that we've seen from Hertsmere. Our leader tonight maybe wanted to speak more on that tonight and then go into other details, and that can overrun those 15 minutes. So there are times actually I can see why a leader would overrun that time. But we talk about democracy within this, and obviously we're all here, we're all democratically elected, but we've seen two parties that weren't democratically elected at the last local election actually put a motion forward, and that's why they're not on CMPD. If they maybe be elected democratically at the local elections, maybe then they would be on that panel. We've also got to consider, they talk about talking and having a chance to debate, yet they want the meeting to finish at 10:30, the latest. Well, meetings in the past, I can tell you now, when I first joined the Labour Party and I stood for council, I was forewarned that meetings could go on to 1 o'clock in the morning, if not longer. I knew what I was letting myself in for when I stood for election, and that was when there was a healthy debate within the council chamber. There was more Labour members, more Liberal Democrat, apologies, and Conservative members at the time. So I'm fully aware of what I was letting myself in for. So we talk about democracy, we should all be willing to actually have those debates. If it is into the early hours of the morning, so be it. That's why I cannot support this motion, I'm sorry to say. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Allen, please. Councillor Allen, yes.
Thank you. Well, the irony is we are now debating a motion about how there's not enough time to get to the motion we're now debating. A motion about getting more done, but finishing earlier. Members, the way to amend the Constitution is through the Constitution and the panel for this very purpose, CMDP. By that mechanism, officers work out all the options for solving a problem and flag the cons as well as the pros. If the panel recommends, full council then scrutinises in a properly informed manner. That is the way to do it, not like this, motions which come out of nowhere, scrawled on the back of a napkin by ChatGPT. Yes, we want to be efficient. Yes, the leader's report shouldn't go on forever. But why shorten that and nothing else? Cut it back, you reduce scrutiny. Every action has a consequence. And if the leader's speech gets sent out in advance, do the others too? Well, it doesn't say. The proposer and seconder may argue, well, our parties aren't invited to CMDP. Thing is, none of those 5 councillors were elected under their current banners. They declined to have by-elections. Neither party has ever been elected to this council. They wanted to drive their own car and now complain there's no parking space reserved. Harsh? That's how the constitutional cookie crumbles, and in turn, they now want to change it in this totally random way. Allow that once, it keeps happening, and will be all over the place. This is a council, not a student union. If you fiddle with the settings, you need to read the instruction manual first. So please think very carefully before giving this the nod.
Councillor Sullivan, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. And I rise as principal opposition to support this motion. At its heart, this proposal is about something very simple, making this chamber work better. And tonight, I believe I've already demonstrated a very key point. In my opposition leader's speech, lasting and timed to 9 minutes, I've been able to raise arguments, challenge ideas, and engage meaningfully. And that alone shows that important issues do not require excessive time, they require focus. And there was even scope for a point of order or two. This motion recognises exactly that. It introduces structure, yes, but in doing so, it creates something far more valuable, opportunity. Because right now, when contributions run too long, it's not the leadership who lose out, it's our backbenchers. They are the ones who miss the chance to ask questions. They are the ones who lose opportunities to hold the leader to account, and they are the ones who risk becoming disengaged from proceedings that should include them. And this motion helps to fix that. By ensuring responses are concise, we free up time for scrutiny, time for participation, and time for more voices to be heard, like we've demonstrated tonight. How many of you got questions in tonight? And I want to be clear, as a member of CMDP, I will continue to push for further efficiencies in how this chamber operates, because this should not be the end of the conversation, and it should be the beginning of a more effective and more inclusive way of working. And it's not about restricting debate, it's about strengthening it. It's about ensuring this chamber works for everyone, not just for the few. And efficiency is not the enemy of democracy, it's what allows it to function properly. So I urge members, support this motion, support engagement, and support a better, more effective chamber. Thank you.
Is there any other on the Conservative side who wishes to speak before I go to Councillor Gray? Yeah, Councillor Bright.
Yes, thank you very much. I wasn't intending to rise, which is one of the things we always say, but then we get up and do it. It was only because I noticed that in my absence, Councillor Butler, how dare you take my name in vain, actually said that my speeches used to go on and on forever. Actually, they didn't. The longest ever speech I gave was 20 minutes, and the reason why I was very specific, it probably felt a lot longer, I'll give you that. But the reason why was because we worked out in the Constitution that you had to give the opposition leader the same amount of time as I spoke. And the only time I spoke as long as that was to do with planning. It was many, many years ago, so I kept it between 10 and 15 minutes. Not less than 10, otherwise the opposition leader got 10, and not more than 15 because I didn't want him to have too long. So, as I say, your memory, I know you're not as old as I am, but you're going grey, your memory's not as great as it was. So that's what I wanted to say. It was only a point of clarification, but because there was a spare place, I didn't want to think that I used to go on and on, because me, go on and on. No, thank you.
Councillor Gray, please.
And I accept the response. I accept the comments there from the elder statesman of this council. Mr. Mayor, this motion has been hasn't been thought through, and more importantly, it hasn't been tested, because when you're dealing with the constitution, changes, processes matter. There's a clear established route in this council for making changes to the constitution, and that's through the Constitution and Member Development Panel, a cross-party body specifically set up to consider, test, refine proposals before they ever reach full council. That process exists for a reason, to ensure that proposals are legally sound, operationally workable, and properly scrutinised with officers' input before decisions are made. As the Council's own framework makes clear, all constitutional changes are expected to be considered through that route before coming to full Council. This motion tries to bypass that. It jumps straight to full Council with proposals that have not been thought through by officers, haven't been stress tested, and not been worked up with group leaders in a constructive way. That's not how you make good governance. And let's be honest about the risk here. If we start changing the constitution on the hoof without proper scrutiny, without officers' advice, and without cross-party engagement, we do not strengthen this council, we weaken it, because we replace a structured agreed process with an ad hoc decision-making driven by the issue of the day. Now, if members genuinely believe there's a case for change, there's a straightforward, sensible route to do that. You take it to CMDP. Councillor Shenton mentioned in his speech about the fact that you can bring things to CMDP to be considered. Work it through with the officers, engage with group leaders, and bring back something that's robust, workable, and commands confidence across this chamber. That's how this council has done it under successive administrations. So it's not about us opposing principle, it's about insisting we do things properly. Mr. Mayor, I would urge all members to actually learn the Constitution before we seek to change it, because tonight has demonstrated that the knowledge gap is quite large. And for that reason, this motion as it stands will not be supported by us. Thank you.
I think, members, we need to go for a vote now. Are we already? Okay. Councillor Emmer. Yeah, please sum up.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Okay, so it's not unsurprising to me, some of the voices here tonight, although it is a little disappointing. But again, I'll just sum up with this. The motion is not about politics, personalities, point scoring. It's simply about making sure we can do the job properly here. The fundamental parts of this is to do with allowing more time for members. I sat along with yourself, Councillor Gray, the other night at planning till 20 to midnight, and us two were two of a few that actually agreed to carry on because it's important. So I definitely do not have a problem with the time I leave necessarily. It's more about, getting things done in a timely fashion. But over the past several months, again, I'll repeat, we have seen a pattern emerge. Meetings are running over, speeches are getting longer. And in fact, if our last meeting, I know it was a budget meeting, but we didn't, for the first time since I've been a councillor, we didn't even get to the leader's speech. That was a first, I believe. Whatever group we sit in, it should concern us all, because our motions are one of the few opportunities that we all have, regardless of our party, to raise issues, represent residents and forward ideas. And again, I say, if these motions aren't being heard, then we're not being heard, and residents aren't being heard. I'm just trying to restore balance and fairness to our meetings, and ensuring that the time is used proportionately so that all parts of the agenda can actually be reached. And I would hope on something as fundamental as how we conduct our business, we can put aside group lines and look at this motion on its merits, but it looks like tonight we probably can't. And that's fine. I respect everybody's opinions, even if I don't agree with them. It's about respect for us as members, respect for the roles we've been elected to do, and respect for our residents to use this chamber effectively. And I stand here again and still ask members, even the ones that are maybe sitting on the fence or have decided to go with the flow on their groups, that, you support this motion in that spirit. Thanks.
Okay, members, are we prepared to go for a vote? Unfortunately, the motion has been lost. We're going to go over to agenda item 17B, notice of motion, fly tipping. I call on Councillor Alexander Clarkson to move the motion.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. I do rise to move this motion. It's so interesting before I begin that actually this motion came before this council last year and we didn't get to it. So it's a shame that the motion before has just failed. The hiatus is a temporary pause, Mr. Mayor. It's a break, it's interruption. Every victim of crime has the allowance to do that. And it was in this reflective period that I actually thought, no, this crime of fly tipping is so incredibly important. And actually, whilst we can task and finish it, let's have the courage to maybe pass a motion on it tonight and get to work. Because we're seeing 1.26 million fly tipping incidents each year. Councils are spending £19 million annually clearing large-scale dumping. And at the same time, only a small proportion of these offenders are facing meaningful consequences. So we have a question before us at Hertsmere. How do we strengthen this deterrence in a way that actually works? And it's about visible, consistent enforcement. That means, and it does mean, increasing our fixed penalty notices to a line that genuinely deters. And it also means the capacity to enforce them properly, because there's little value in higher fines, Mr. Mayor, if offenders believe they are unlikely to be caught. But that's where it becomes critical, because if we increase the penalty fares, we reinvest that income by expanding the enforcement team. It's a virtuous cycle. Stronger enforcement leads to greater compliance reduces our long-term costs, puts the costs on the criminal, not the taxpayer. More patrols, faster response times, greater likelihood the offenders are identified and fined. Transparency plays a key role. That's why I like the wall of shame in this particular motion. How our accounts have introduced it. It demonstrates how public accountability can act as a powerful deterrent. It reassures residents that enforcement is happening. Their concerns are being taken seriously, just like the HMOs. But we can build on this further by identifying and publicising fly-tipping hotspot locations. It's the third recommendation on this motion. When residents know when problems are occurring, they can be more vigilant. They can report incidents more quickly, Mr. Mayor. They can help prevent them even. And we're seeing this direction of travel across London, Croydon, Merton, Harrow, Barnet. They've all increased their penalties. We're stuck at 300. We may as well put a sign up outside Hertsmere saying, come and fly tip here, boroughs of London. Surveys across the UK, and this is key, are consistently showing that the public want tougher enforcement. They want tougher fines for fly tipping. It's a priority issue. You know, they're getting taxed to the hilt, not getting much for their money, they perceive. At least let's clean up the roads around them. When enforcement is visible, Mr. Mayor, offences fall. When penalties are meaningful, behaviours change. Where resources are reinvested, enforcement improves. And when residents are informed, as this motion would do, communities become part of the solution. Fly tipping must not be tolerated, Mr. Mayor, in Hertsmere anymore. We must raise our penalties to £1,000. This council is prepared to act. We need to tell the criminals out there in Hertsmere, if you can't pay the fine, don't commit the crime.
I will call on Councillor Selby to second.
Hi, I'd like to reserve, I'll second it, but I'd like to reserve my right to speak. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Selby. Now, this matter is now open for a debate. I shall call on Councillor Clapper, please.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor. Fly tipping is one of the most visible failures residents experience and one of the most frustrating. Just this week, there was a horrific fly tip on Sandy Lane, and this is not just a one-off. There are numerous examples across my ward, and I'm sure many others, and residents are asking the same question. Why does this keep happening? Because the reality is, it keeps happening because people think they can get away with it. And the worst part is this. When fly tipping happens on public land, it's bad enough. The taxpayer has to pay for it. When it happens on private land, farmland, small holdings or residential plots, it becomes even more unfair. Because then it's farmers and residents who have to pay for the removal, people who are already under financial pressure, people who have done nothing wrong. This is not just frustrating, it is fundamentally unjust. From a reform perspective, this needs a reset. We need zero tolerance enforcement, targeting of repeat hotspots like Sandy Lane, which I'd like to make clear isn't in my ward, but people contact me about it all the time, and real consequences for offenders. This means fines that actually deter, vehicle seizures where appropriate, and enforcement that is visible so people know and understand there are consequences. Because if enforcement is not seen, it does not deter. But we also need to be honest. If disposal is expensive or inconvenient, some will take the risk. So we must enforce harder, but we must also make it easier for residents and offenders to do the right thing. I'm not against a fly-tipping wall of shame or regular updates, but does this go far enough? I would say no. Residents don't want strategies, they don't want explanations, they want cleaner streets, action, and they want fairness. Because right now, all of the wrong people are paying the price, and we on this side of the chamber would like to change that. Thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Councillor Prabhakar Kaza, please.
Fly tipping is a persistent environmental issue in the UK as well as in our borough, affecting both urban and rural areas. It involves the illegal dumping of waste ranging from household rubbish and furniture to construction debris. This activity not only harms the local environment but also places a financial burden on taxpayers, as cleanup costs are often covered by the council. The Hertsmere Borough Council has taken steps to tackle this problem through surveillance, fines, and public awareness campaigns. It has taken action on all reported cases, 1,105 in all. Fines issued 25,000, which is amongst the highest per capita in Hertfordshire. It is relatively active in enforcement approach compared to other areas. The borough's approach is a mix of enforcement and investigation rather than constant high-level fines. Payment rates for fines are over 90%, which is higher and suggests effective follow-up. Despite these efforts, fly tipping continues to occur, often in secluded areas such as country lanes, car parks, and alleyways. Immediate action is taken to clear fly tipping, as the presence of dumped waste can attract further dumping and encourage people, and also poses a health risk to resident and wildlife. Increasing the level of fixed penalty notice of 300 any higher will only result in more court cases than the average court fine, which is only £539 and involves heavy litigation costs plus our own management time along with the manpower time. In any case, the FPN needs to be evidence-based. Only 10 seconds. The importance attached to the subject can be seen by the fact that the latest Hertsmere News has got one full-page article on the subject. Thank you very much, sir.
Councillor Richard, please, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. This borough is taking action on fly tipping. It is a scourge. The figure quoted at the start of this debate, 1.6 million. Let's be clear, that's nationwide, and it is a nationwide issue. In terms of mention of income, that income isn't necessarily going to come to the borough. You raise the level of the fine, the fixed penalty notice. People will often say, "Do you know what? I'll take my chances in court." And then they plead whatever reasons to not pay it. So we need a realistic approach. We are talking about organised criminal activity here. This isn't just residents going off and putting a bag of rubbish. This is organised criminal activity, and it isn't something that gesture politics is going to do anything about. We have also recently, so this introduction of the CEOs, and as announced within the framework of the budget, increased numbers in the CEO team are having an impact. I just wanted to, I owe my group a slight apology. When I first saw this motion, I thought, yeah, maybe we can have a reasonable amendment that will, change this and make this actually more achievable. Looking at it centrally, this is essentially, you are looking at an unreasonable request, and the numbers just aren't realistic. The number of incidents, the number of actions.
Your time is up, please.
1,078 incidents.
Your time is up.
You don't have the source of all the numbers.
You have been muted. Yeah. Councillor Councillor Selby, can you...
Sorry, Mr Mayor, we haven't used all the speeches yet.
I'm delighted to second this motion. Aldenham East and West are some of the most rural areas in Hertsmere, and the illegal dumping of waste poses significant threats to the rural environment. When rubbish such as unwanted household goods, construction debris, or even hazardous materials...
Pardon me, yeah, carry on,
is
please.
abandoned in the countryside, it not only spoils the natural beauty, but also brings about ecological damage. At the moment, people prefer to fly tip all their contents of their house and take the fine, rather than have it removed officially, as it is cheaper to fly tip with the risk of a £300 fine. How can this be? This is not right. In the past year, I believe there's been an increase in fly tipping in the country lanes of the Aldenham wards. There is all the usual contents of the tip, such as old sofas, fridges and builders' rubble, but increasingly we find black sacks full of garden refuse. Whether this is a symptom of residents now having to pay for green waste collection, it is not my area of expertise. What I do know is that unless fly tipping is cleared quickly, it attracts other fly tippers who see the original tip as being okay to add to. Hertsmere are also seen as an easy and cheap place to fly tip, particularly as we border boroughs where the fines are so much higher. It's cheaper to fly tip in Potter's Bar rather than Barnet, as the fine in Barnet is £500. And fly tipping in Shenley on Raptory Lane, you'll be fined £300 if caught, but in St Albans, this fine rises to £1,000. If we don't increase the fines here in Hertsmere, we will continue to see high quantities of fly tipping on our borders. Speed of action is vital. When a fly tip is reported, we must respond speedily, do all we can to identify the perpetrators and get it cleared soon. I therefore fully support the 3 resolutions of this motion and commend this motion to you. Thank you.
Okay, I will look on the other side, and Councillor Gray, you can say your piece.
Thank you, Mr Mayor, and thank you for allowing me to actually use the speech that I wanted to give before we move to the seconding of this motion. Mr Mayor, we agree on one thing. Fly tipping is unacceptable. It damages our environment, undermines pride in our communities, and costs taxpayers money to clean up. But if we're serious about tackling it, we have to deal in facts and not headlines, because the central claim to this motion is simply wrong. No amount of loud voices or erratic hand gesturing from Councillor Clarkson is going to change that. Fly tipping in Hertsmere has actually fallen year on year since 2023, and enforcement has not dropped, it has increased significantly. In 2024, we saw a record number of actions taken. This is not failure, this is progress. We have invested in dedicated community enforcement teams, issuing around 120 fixed penalty notices, alongside court actions where appropriate. We use CCTV, we work with police, we target hotspots, and we even redesign areas to prevent fly tipping in the first place. This is a serious, evidence-led approach. Now look at what's being proposed. A £1,000 fine sounds really tough, but it ignores the reality. Fines only work if they're paid. Set them too high, the offenders are more likely to challenge them, take their chance in court, and often end up with a lower penalty awarded against them. That money goes to central government. Meanwhile, fixed penalties help fund further enforcement back in this council. The so-called wall of shame may sound appealing, and possibly we should extend it to further crimes, but it raises real illegal issues and practices around data protection, and with fly tipping happening in rural areas where footage is harder to capture. So this is not about being soft or tough, it's about being effective. I'd urge Councillor Clarkson to do the work of the Task and Finish Group as chair, though he seems to be saying at the moment that he's decided in his hiatus period to just become a dictator and decide on the outcomes, completely going against his own deputy leader who chairs the Scrutiny Committee. Do we continue with target?
Your time is up, please. Your time is up. Your time is up. Yeah. Councillor Clarkson, can you sum up?
Thank you, Mr Mayor. Goodness me. Well, do you know what? To fight hard for residents, there may be a few true facts and some hand gestures to support them, because you talk about gesture politics, Councillor Shenton, that actually raising the fee, by the way, £1,000, but £500 you can pay it within 10 days. So we're being reasonable here. St Albans raised it to £1,000. It's Liberal Democrat controlled. because it wanted to increase enforcement, because it wanted to stand up to St Albans residents. You can't, I mean, you speak to your colleagues at St Albans and Richmond and dozens of Liberal Democrat councils across this country that have upped it from £300 since the Conservative government made it possible to go to £1,000. Higher court cases, my goodness. Are we going to say that then about all crimes, all penalties? Oh, you know what, we'll keep them low just in case we get fined in court. It's nonsense. And residents won't see it like that. And I'm sorry, the facts are not right. Do you know what? There was a slight improvement in 25, but it's not enough. It's not enough, and it's not good enough for the people of Hertsmere. Councillor Clapper, please, Councillor Gray, do a hiatus. Councillor Clapper, thank you so much for mentioning Sandy Lane. Do you know what? There was a resident that contacted me today. He's found rats in the fly tipping case in Hillside. There's farms across the rural part of this borough that are suffering. I think we might be on a hiding for nothing, Councillor Sullivan, tonight with this one, but it was an important issue. I'm not dictating anything. I'm not dictated. We've read what residents are bothered about, are concerned about, and we've brought a motion. Thank God and goodness we got to it. There was no filibustering tonight, Mr. Mayor. I am passionately about this issue. And if the government hadn't seen a problem, they wouldn't have raised it to £1,000. And Labour and Liberal Democrat councils across London and the south east of England have raised it above 300. Why can't this council have the guts, the determination and the courage to do something that residents will actually say, you know what, good on our council actually. It means that we're not paying for this anymore. The criminals can. I please beg all councillors to just put the bitterness aside and actually think this is a start. We can do something because residents want it.
Your time is up. Thank you. I think members, I think it's about time that we go for a vote on this issue. Yeah. Yes. It has been carried. It has been carried. Yeah, it has been carried. Can I have you?
Can you put it back on the main screen? Ask Councillor Smith how she voted. Ask Councillor Smith how she voted.
Okay. Councillor Smith, how did you vote? Pardon me? Turn your monitor, your thing on.
I vote against.
Oh, you voted against. Okay. Please let that be noted.
The motion is still carried. 16-15.
Yeah. The motion is still carried. It's 16-15. Okay. Can I have your undivided attention, please? We're now moving over to agenda item number 18, and that relates to any other urgent business. I don't think there is any. Is there any urgent business? None at all. Okay. Okay. Then we're going over to agenda item number 19, the date of the next meeting.
15th of April 2026.
That is a fit. Can I have your attention? We are all adults. We're not school kids here, man, in this chamber. Yeah. The next meeting is going to be held on April 15th. That's next month. Okay. I thank you all for your support, and I pray that you all have a safe journey in your various back home.
And declare the meeting closed at 9:48.
Okay, the meeting is closing now at 9:48. Yeah.